All right. Um, I think I fixed a few things with scaling and everything. I'm hoping that the quality is much better now. I'm about to log into my YouTube real quick and just double check. Why not? Says we're live. Let's go ahead and check if we're live. I think this is an old one, to be honest. Yeah, this is the old one. Let's see if I can get a new one going here. Should be like a new option somewhere. Yeah, I heard Jammy got nerfed, which was pretty garbage, to be honest. Let's go to my channel. It says we're live. There we go. We are live. Let's look. Yeah, quality is much better now, huh? The quality is extremely better. I'm just gonna run back and forth real quick, see if there's any kind of lag. Doesn't seem to be. My stream seems to be holding up really steady. Yo, dude, we might switch over to YouTube. I might just start being a YouTube streamer instead of a Twitch streamer because this is smooth as fucking butter, dude. This shit is running so much better than, damn, I should have waited to like curse and stuff. I can't help myself. Um, I was definitely born a sailor. So, freaking A. Um, I'll try to cut back on that. I'm sorry. Got something stuck in my throat there. Clear my throat. There were some scaling issues. That's about as big as I could get chat to be due to scaling issues. Hopefully, in the future, I can do some editing on that and make that a little bit larger, a little bit more manageable and stuff for us. But honestly, this is looking really good. I'm not having, let's rejoin the instance here. Go ahead and search that out. I should be able to just pop that open. Go ahead and walk up in here. Yeah, we don't have to get kill count anymore, which feels fucking amazing. That was a hell of a grind, I'm not gonna lie. But, ooh, let's pop animate dead before we start taking a ton of damage. Honestly, we really weren't even taking that much damage. We'll go ahead and pop our crystal here so we can get some, get a little bit of prayer. Man, my throat. Hold up. Sip a little coffee here. All right. Feeling a little bit better. Inventory setup. Everything looks really good now. It's crystal clear now, from what I can tell, although my greasy fingers have been all over my phone, so I need to like wipe this sucker off to maybe get a better view of it. But for the most part, it looks really good. I'm not really seeing any kind of pixelation or anything like that, so I'm gonna assume it looks good on y'all's end. I'm hoping it looks good. I hope it looks way better than the one I had before. It's kind of crazy how much scaling I had to do, like scaling back I had to do for Twitch. I don't know if it's their servers or the software they use, but it was actually insane. Like I had it set to like just like almost a phone size. It was almost like a mobile requirement, right? Like the quality. Oh man, my quality just went took a shit. Uh-oh. What happened, guys? We just had really great quality, and now not so much. It's really weird. What just happened? Hmm. This is kind of a pain. I kind of wish there was some kind of like auto setup that I could run for for YouTube. Oh wow. Yo, the bitrate is in whoa. Well, that might be the problem right there. Damn, I would hate to keep stopping and restarting the stream, but I might actually do that. I did not realize, yo, Twitch's maximum bitrate for the video is like 6,000, dude. YouTube's maximum video bitrate is 51,000. Yo, that is insane. The quality that I can pump out on YouTube is actually crazy, okay? This is crazy, dude. I'm so sorry. Y'all don't have to deal with a shitty stream for right now, the video quality. Hopefully the audio quality is coming in really good. I think my audio is already set to 160. Yeah, audio already set to 160. Oh, can I change this right now? Let's bump it up to 10,000, dude. Let's bump it up to 10,000. I'm gonna apply. Hit OK. Yo, we can do that live. That's crazy. I didn't know we could do that live. Okay. We'll try that live. We'll see if that helps, right? We'll see if 10,000 helps. Let's see if bumping it up to 10,000 helps any. There's also some latency here. I'm not sure about the latency, if that's the greatest idea. I might switch that up. It'll have to be on like a future stream or something. Damn it. I don't know. I can't tell. Is the quality any better? I can't tell if the quality's any better. It was running perfectly fine at the very beginning. Let me scroll back here. Yeah, the start looked really clean and smooth. And now, oh, the playback looks really smooth. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's just my phone? Yeah, I'm up to the live part. Oh no, it does look a lot better. It looks really good. Okay, maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. I did pump it up to 10,000 though, dude. That's crazy. That's so cool. That's actually so cool. Bro, 51,000? I kind of want to crank it up to 51,000. My computer would probably explode though. I'm using like an ancient fucking computer. This motherfucker got fortune cookies all stuffed up in it. Like it is, you gotta use the Wayback Machine to find the PC I'm running right now. Okay. So the stream looks really good, so I'm really happy about that. It looks actually better than the one I was doing on Twitch. Let me just go ahead and pop that open one more time just to like check what people are coming into. Oh, it restarts from the beginning. That's weird. We should be live. Yeah, it says we're live. Okay, cool. Yeah, doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. It actually does look really clean. I guess I was just worrying about nothing there. Go ahead and exit out of that. I love hearing people's stories where they're like, 15 years later, I finally maxed my account. Dude, it's so true, bro. I feel like 15 years is kind of light work, to be honest. I feel like, yo, bro, you need to chill out with how much you're gaming over there. 15 fucking years, god damn. But it's so true, dude. Like, RuneScape has got to be one of the longest games to, like, actually complete, like, just the skills part of it. To hit 99 in all skills, unless it's like your job, dude. Because you get to play every day. You know, dude, RuneScape made me want to like do coding as a career, but unfortunately, when I was a kid, like that wasn't really as popular, right? Of like a profession, like people didn't really do that, right? People weren't considered like, I don't know. I guess adults really didn't see that as like an option, right? So my dad was like, when I told him I wanted to go to school for coding, he's like, "Yeah, no, you'll never make money doing coding." Bruh. I wrote that in his face to this very fucking day, dude. He was like, "Why don't you go get a medical assistant degree, right?" So I went and got a medical assistant degree. I worked in the medical field, right, for a couple years, and then it's like fucking Pandora's box gets open with this whole fucking virus bullshit, and I get laid off, and fucking like my life is on the line, right? Just going into work every fucking day, and just like, yo, I'm just like, all right, dude. I mean, I would have never made any money doing coding, huh? Like, could have been in a room right now. Damn it, fucking, fucking working on a computer. Mm. Sorry, guys. I'm like eating at the moment too. I haven't had anything today. I kind of woke up and just went straight to being live on Twitch for like 3 hours. But all the popular people are on right now. I mean, Twitch keeps like dropping crazy ass rules and then being like, "No, we're playing, chill, chill, chill." It was a prank, bro. It's like, dude, Twitch is fucking around too much, and they about to find out that people are not gonna keep streaming on Twitch. Like, it was actually really easy to start streaming on on YouTube today. I like decided just like come over here to check it out because I wasn't really getting any like views on Twitch to be honest at the moment, which like totally makes sense. It's a Friday. Like people probably aren't even checking out streams right now. It's kind of still early for that. It's like only 5 o'clock. People are probably just like now getting off work and stuff, and like all the kids are probably I don't know still out doing stuff, right? Um, so that's whatever. But still, like I just figured I'd try out YouTube, and actually, I'm kind of digging YouTube more than Twitch. If I'm being 100% honest, seems to be running really smooth. I've had no lag issues, and I'm like, we've only been streaming a little bit, so maybe that's like will change later on. But I haven't had any encoding issues, no lag issues. My quality is turned up way beyond what I was doing on Twitch. Granted, Twitch's like own little system for like upscaling the video that you send them apparently is like better, maybe or higher quality or something. But honestly, like if I'd rather pump out higher quality stuff on my end with less like lag and stuff, like just I don't know, man. There's just something different about it. It's been really smooth. I like it a lot. I might start doing YouTube a lot more. Try out some YouTube streaming. Why the hell not? Right. Go ahead and pop our enhanced Excalibur right there. Chat should be up in the corner. Everything should be running amazingly. Uh, Shit looks really good. I'm actually really happy about that. I would have had a problem doing this on Twitch. I'd have been lagging like crazy and having like a lot of issues. Uh, like I had it on like I think we were sitting on like 2,000 bit rate or something like that. I have it at fucking 10,000 now, okay? 10,000 and it's running perfectly fine. So it was definitely on Twitch's end. I feel like it was definitely on Twitch's end. I kept like thinking that it was my PC. And like yeah, my PC is definitely old, right? Like it's definitely an old bag of Lay's potato chips that I got from the convenience store, but it's still all right. Like it's still good. You know what I mean? Like they're not stale. It's not stale yet. You know what I mean? Like I may be playing on a bag of Lay's, but it's not bad. It's running pretty good. All right, let me move my video back over here into the corner. Pay no attention to the name, the Artful Dodger Clinton Fund. Honestly, it used to be Clinton Fund, the Swindler. And I kind of like that one better, to be completely honest. But I just kind of like wanted to see what I had in terms of titles, and I just like had that one. An Artful Dodger kind of sounded good, right? With like Clinton and all that kind of stuff. So with like, yo, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, and yada yada yada. I can't believe what we were sensitive about back in the day. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, we were sensitive about the big man in the White House getting a little blowy under the under the fucking table in the Oval Office, man. But like, let's be real here, right? Like, if we had a chance to bang in the Oval Office, most of us would probably take it. Okay, do a little hanky panky in the Oval Office sounds kind of lit, dude. Like, yo, George Washington would stay here. You know what I mean? Like, like there's some history here, right? Like, and like, don't tell me older presidents, right? Like, yeah, they probably never got caught doing it, but dude, don't tell me like they weren't doing it there too. Like, don't tell me that one of the older presidents wasn't having like a stressful day. Like, damn, these people with all their problems. There's so much going on. We got war and conflict, and then the wife just gives him a little blowy under the table. Like, come on, dude, come on. I mean, ridiculous. Just absolutely. Oh, I did not mean to eat that. I meant to click that thing. All right, I'm gonna rotate these around real quick. I'm talking too much. I don't know how I went off onto that tangent. Pay no attention to that. We're gonna go ahead and react to some of these videos here. probably get copyright claim like instantly, but these are some of my favorite people, so we're just gonna react to these, and they just look like interesting videos. They're not always like people that I watch on the regular, but if I find an interesting video, right, I just like put it in a playlist, and then I just react to it while I'm gaming and stuff, and give my 2 cents. Sometimes I just completely like wholeheartedly agree with the streamer or the video maker or whatever. Sometimes I have my own opinion. Sometimes I see it a little differently. It's just kind of how it goes. So let's get into it.
Talked about this before, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this as well. The Olympics
Check the
have
audio on
finally
this.
accepted some games into their
Nice.
Olympics circuit.
Yo, I know a lot of people are going to be upset about that, and it is a little ridiculous, don't get me wrong. But as a kid, when I was in like high school, dude, I would have been so happy to have this. I like you have no idea. Like this is a dream come true right here, okay? This is a young me's dream come true. Having an Olympic option for gaming, dude. For gaming, bro. Dude, that's huge, man. I know people aren't going to be happy about that and stuff, but honestly, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's great for people who like have mobility issues as well. They could do like, you know, they could do games and shit, bro. Like it kind of includes inclusivity on that is pretty awesome. I mean, they already have their own Olympics, right? Like they have like a handicap Olympic and all that kind of stuff, but I think having gaming in it, pretty awesome. Bro, my dog hates cars, dude. I have no fucking idea what a car did to it, but my dog fucking hates them.
They now have an entire esports week of the Olympics, and while that may sound cool to some of you, I promise it is the most embarrassing thing ever. You see, the games that are in the Olympics are ones that you've never heard of, such as
What?
tic-tac-bow and other
No.
mobile game shovelware dog shit. Just complete throwaway nonsense games. And I've speculated on stream that I actually think it's kind of a conspiracy because some of the mobile games that are in the Olympics were made only a couple weeks before the announcement.
Oh, these sons of bitches. Bro, honestly, I feel like gymnastics shouldn't even be in it. Like snowboarding is dope. Definitely an Olympic sport. Skiing, that fucking downhill skiing, that shit's pretty fucking savage. That should probably be a sport. Gymnastics, yeah, some of them make sense because the athleticism, right, is what that's an Olympic level. But like, I don't know, man. I think boxing and like wrestling were the only two like real Olympic sports. Let's be real here, dude. Like,
So they're also
dude,
heavily
that's
monetized as
brutal.
well, and anyone can
They really
participate.
fucked us
So
on
to
that
me, it
shit,
really
huh?
just screams some kind of nefarious scheme
Yeah,
where these mobile
yeah.
games are in the Olympics, which garners hype around the mobile games, so people will play them under the
Mm-hmm.
delusion that they'll somehow become an Olympic athlete for
Yeah.
gaming. So they'll hop in the mobile game
Disgusting.
and then spend money on the
A
microtransactions.
mobile
So it's just a
game though,
big money
dude.
making plan
How
from
is
the
a
Olympics
mobile
committee
game an
here.
Olympic?
That's
I
how
don't
I feel about it
understand.
because there's no other logical explanation for why games
Yeah.
that no one has ever heard of, like tic-tac-bow, are in the Olympics. It just doesn't make sense. And
And
also the
why wouldn't
fact
you
that they were
just
made
transfer
so
over
close to
like
the
leagues
announcement
that
is
are
also
already
really fishy, very shady shit.
that are
But
already
I've
like
already gone
live,
over all
right?
of that.
Like,
I'm here to talk about something else regarding the
whoa.
Olympics and esports. They've just made
Really?
another announcement that a new game will be entered into the Olympics esports week.
No.
One that actually everyone has heard of. Fortnite. That's right.
Okay.
Fortnite will
Yeah.
now be an
That makes
Olympic sport,
sense.
but not in the way
Kind
that
of
you're thinking.
ridiculous.
You
No
see,
way.
they don't like violence in the Olympics, and Fortnite is known for its violence. I mean, that shit is
Build mode
brutal.
only, huh?
That turns kids into fucking monsters, turns them into bloodthirsty killers.
No
I tell
way.
you, you only need to see Ariana Grande crank a 90 and then slaughter some bitches with the double pump meta in order for you to just become a murderer yourself. It's too violent. God rest all of the
Might be
souls that
true.
have been subjected
Can
to the
neither confirm
horrors
nor
of the
deny what he said.
Fortnite battlefield. I mean, Jesus Christ, even Master Chief is out there hitting a floss now. The war crimes don't stop piling up in Fortnite, so they needed something else. They had to change Fortnite around a little bit, and they are
No
now
fucking
doing
way,
a
dude.
non-violent Fortnite creative map solution. So it's basically just a Fortnite custom map that's nothing but target practice for their Fortnite
No.
esport. They even proudly hyped up this stinker in a tweet here. So it's going to be the International Shooting Sport Federation Challenge featuring Fortnite. So just target shooting, an absolute fucking snooze fest for a gaming challenge. I actually couldn't have pictured something more boring. It is
Wow.
baffling how incredibly out of touch the Olympics are with gaming. I don't know why they're even trying. Having complete worthless piles of shit in the
Yeah.
Olympics like
This sounds
Fortnite
insane.
target shooting is nonsensical. Nobody in the world
I
wants to
don't
see that.
understand what's
Older
going on here.
people aren't going to watch gaming in the Olympics regardless. And the younger people who
Yeah,
play
and the
games
younger
don't want
people,
to see
yeah.
fucking tic-tac-bow and Fortnite target shooting.
Fuck is
Like they are
tic-tac-toe,
pleasing
dude? That's
nobody.
crazy.
It doesn't
What is
make any
going
sense
on?
other than for it to be some kind of money laundering scheme or even some kind of
Yeah, yeah,
money
yeah.
generating scheme through microtransactions and like merchandise or whatever. The octogenarians on the anti-fun police squadron have stated that gamers will be tested on their target aiming accuracy just as sports
That's
shooters would in
crazy.
competition. According to IOC Sports, a specially designed Fortnite Creative Island made to reflect sports shooting competition will put the target aiming accuracy of sharpshooters to the test and see them navigate the in-game environment as they compete to become an Olympic Esports Series winner. The esports series will take place in Singapore. Fortnite players will go for the esports Olympics on Saturday,
Bro,
June
Singapore people won't
24th,
even take that shit
2023, with other
seriously.
titles
They
like
have like
Gran
real game
Turismo, NBA
tournaments over
2K
there.
23, and 11 table tennis. Tickets are on sale now for $10 to $15. Real quick
Wow.
before continuing, this is extremely misleading because those are the only three games that aren't just like mobile shovelware games that are part of this circuit. Outside of that, it is actually just shit like Tic Tac Bow. There's also
Really?
a couple other ones that I'm blanking on the name of because they are so unheard of that I can't even recall what they were.
Tic-tac-bow.
One of them is literally like thumb people playing baseball. It is a joke, the games that are in this series. But
This
they
is
decided to leave
crazy.
those out and try and push them under the rug and instead focus on games you've heard of like Gran Turismo. But just know that that is not the quality of games at the esports events here for the Olympics. Continuing on, the addition to
Wow.
esports to the Olympics is still a controversial topic, with some arguing that it's not a true sport and does not deserve a place alongside traditional athletic events. However, there are many who believe that the inclusion of esports is not only inevitable, but necessary in order to keep the Olympics relevant to younger generations. So, I think there's merit to both sides here. However, what they've done pleases nobody. So, you can make the argument that it's not like a true athletic sport. I don't think you're wrong in making that assumption. It is very different. It
Two
is a
mil?
totally
That's
different
something, I
kind of
guess.
activity, one that still, of course, requires an extremely high level of talent that only few people will ever be able to achieve. But it is not really an athletic sport, nor do I think it needs a place at the Olympics. And also, the inclusion of it at the Olympics will not appeal to younger generations because you have barely dipped the tippy tip of your tootsies into this water. You have put mobile games in the Olympics. This is not something younger generation wants to watch. Younger generation loves to play mobile games, but I can't imagine many of them wanting to watch Tic Tac Bow, a game where you literally just tap the screen to fire an arrow. I'm really focused on that one because it is just so mind-boggling how shit that game is and why it's here. But the point is, you're having mobile games here that's not going to appeal to the younger generation at all. And putting Fortnite could have been a solid play to appeal to the younger generation, but no kid wants to watch target practice in Fortnite. That's the most boring part of the game. A creative map where there's no actual competition with other players, it's just fucking target practice. That is so boring. That is so fucking boring. If you just had normal Fortnite, I'd understand. Like that would make sense. I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, kids might actually want to watch this now. Olympics Fortnite? Wow, those kids will probably go fucking wild for that. But no child is going to be wanting to watch them just shoot at stationary targets in really shittily designed maps. Because I guarantee the reason they've gone with like sports shooting isn't just because of the non-violent angle. It's just because it's so easy to quickly make. You just set up stationary targets in the Fortnite creative sandbox. I doubt there's going to be a whole lot of effort put into those maps, so they can easily just fucking shit those out quickly.
Yeah.
And it costs no money to do so.
I think that it could be kind of cool if like the targets moved around and everything, and like that's how they did it, right? And like there's a lot of things that you could code in there if like you worked with if you worked with StarCraft. I'm sorry, I was typing StarCraft. If you worked with fucking holy crap, Fortnite. I'm sure they could make some cool maps that you could do for like target practice type things, but this is really ridiculous. What's crazy? I mean, it's great that gaming has kind of come into the Olympics, but I think it's pretty ludicrous the way that they're implementing it into it. It definitely it almost feels disingenuous, right? Like the way they decided to do it, it's kind of fucked up. I totally see where he's coming from. Um, I don't know how to feel about that, to be completely honest. I don't know how to feel about it. It's interesting decision. Interesting decision. I mean, I'm glad that they added something for that, but yeah, mobile games in the Olympics, that makes zero sense to me. You can literally just look at like a Dota 2 World Tournament, League of Legends World Tournament, and see how they set that up, and then just like literally copy and paste and rip that off and just like put different game. Obviously you can have like different style games for it because we already have those. We already have tournaments for those. Um, so I'm really confused, and I'm really surprised that as the USA, we didn't push to have like maybe Battlefield or something like that, some kind of like strategic, tactical game, like CS:GO or something like that, in the Olympics for us. And instead, they decided to go with Fortnite. Now, Fortnite is clearly an obvious choice, dude, only to the fact of like how much revenue they draw in, right? Like there are so many stolen parent credit cards, right, that have been spent on V-Bucks that it could probably fund a small country, maybe even a large country. Um, like I know for a fact they could fund Venezuela's economy, okay, by themselves, the amount of money that has been spent on V-Bucks, but the choice to like I really don't understand the mobile game choice. Okay, I kind of understand, maybe it could be violent. I mean, I don't really see how Fortnite is violent because when you die, there's like no blood or anything, right? Like you kind of just like disappear into like a digital like deal. There's like a digital animation when you die. I'm sure they have different like animations for that now that they sell you and cosmetics. But if I remember correctly, you kind of like just kind of disintegrate, right? Like into like pixels, into like different deals. So I don't see it like it doesn't seem like that violent of a game. Um, and they've had a they've had a tournament where like some, where people won like millions of dollars or whatever in the tournament. I, I'm I'm so confused at the choice here. Mobile games make zero sense though. It definitely seems like some kind of cash grab, perhaps even some kind of money laundering, like you said. It is it is pretty dumb. It's kind of crazy that people in charge are coming up with these ideas. I don't know how the fuck they got their positions, but I feel like a lot of people need some firing in these high level places. Okay, that is
So there's really
just
nothing they've
dumb.
done
It's
right
just
here
dumb. I
when
don't
it
even know how
comes to
to say that.
including gaming at
Just
the
dumb.
Olympics. This is just going to be a complete joke that they're only ever going to do one time, I imagine, because they're going to get
Yeah.
laughed off the face of the fucking
Hmm.
earth for even trying it the way that they
I would
have.
assume so as
So I
well.
don't think this is
It's
going to be like a
absolutely
permanent
absurd.
fixture of the Olympics. This will always go down as one of the most embarrassing things
Biggest
the Olympics have
fails.
ever fucking
Yeah.
tried. And again, I don't understand why gaming needs to be in the Olympics. That just screams insecurity for people that are like lobbying for that. Just let esports exist in its own little sector of like
Yeah,
sports
but
entertainment. It doesn't need to be classified as a real
Okay, I don't think it needs to be classified as a real sport either, but I do think that having it in the Olympics does give you like extra weight, and it would be kind of cool to see all the countries coming together to like battle each other the way they do in esports for like League of Legends. But I don't know. I feel like it makes it a little bit more interesting. Like people only watch certain Olympic deals, right? Like most people watch like maybe snowboarding. Um, I really don't even know boxing. Boxing's a huge one. I love me some boxing for an Olympic sport. I don't really know what the big ones are, but I know that they're probably struggling a little bit to get views because some of that shit is just so like boring. Like it's cool to watch, but it's like it's better to have clips of it than like see the whole thing, right? Like, and people usually tune in for something that they're really interested in. So like, not everybody's watching the whole Olympics, right? Everything on the Olympics. So I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know if we get in 55 more kills in 11 minutes, though.
Sport or a physical athletic sport in order for it to have merit. It doesn't need that. It already has carved out a huge market for itself. It
Yeah,
doesn't need the validation from the 60 and 70-year-olds that are saying
I agree with him on this, but at the same time, there's a lot of corruption in those systems as well. Whereas, like, the Olympics do seem a little bit more of a stable environment for them to be in. Whereas, like, the orgs, like you saw with League of Legends, right? Like, they're starting to, like, take out a whole bunch of people due to the fact that they're not putting in the numbers that they need to or whatever. And people are being like relegated to like these like backup teams type deals where they just kind of sit there and collect a paycheck the whole time, and there's no real like upper movement. And like I don't know, I feel like it could be better if they made a couple of them into Olympic sport. I think there are some really good games that could fit into this genre, but I like things that you can't do in real life, kind of like a big game hunting type deal. If we could get like a really cool, realistic one of those, and maybe like a gun like back in the day, you know, like how the Super NES had or the NES, yeah, Super NES had like the gun, right? The like laser gun thing. If we could build some kind of system like that and maybe use that as like an Olympic sport, that'd be kind of cool. So you could like watch, you know, like an actual like hunting type deal. I don't know how exactly you would set that up, you know, and being like a little ridiculous with these, but and you kind of see where I'm going with it, right? Like some kind of deal where you can see stuff that don't really normally go on, and then like I said, like Battlefield. I think Battlefield's another great one. Obviously, it had to be like a little bit different in the way that Battlefield is set up as it is there. But I mean, having a Battlefield type deal where like teams actually go in and they use communication and they're moving as a unit, they're clearing rooms, breaching doors. There's like all these mechanics in Battlefield that would make it an interesting game to see played in an Olympic at an Olympic level in that kind of situation. Obviously, there'd have to be some changes done to the game itself. There'd have to be like maybe you'd start with one tank each, or maybe there'd be one tank on the map, or no tank, right? And it would just be all combat, like all gun combat and stuff like that. You'd probably have limited ammo. There'd have to be like certain stipulations put on it to make it like a more of like a regulation game type match. Um, to make it make a little bit more sense, or else like people would just rush for like tank and they just camp tank the whole fucking game, right? Shit like that. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think there's like definitely options for it, but I do think having mobile games is super insulting as an Olympic sport. I think that is absolutely ridiculous, and honestly, we are probably owned by China if this is a legit thing that we're doing, okay? That's the only way that this makes sense is like China came up with these games and they're like they own us now because that doesn't make any sense. I mean, a lot of people play mobile games, but I think it's the biggest market for that is over there in China. So I mean, that's the only thing I can see. This is like this is so ridiculing's I just don't
gaming's not
understand it.
really challenging and it's not a sport. Who cares? Who fucking cares? That doesn't matter. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. And this is the worst implementation of gaming into the
Yeah,
like
that's the worst
sports
thing I've ever
scene I've
seen.
ever seen
Yeah,
with what the Olympics has done here.
I
So
agree.
I just wanted to give a little update to this because they continue to just fucking fumble everything in regards to gaming in the
Sad.
Olympics. So it's really about it. So yep.
Super sad.
Hey, what's up, guys? Red Lobster here. Not the seafood Applebee's, but the guy with Norwegian jeans who went outside for multiple hours without sunscreen snowboarding and ended up like
Yo.
this. Hence the
Yeah,
goggle
that's me too,
marks
bro.
that are really, really bad.
That's
But just
hilarious, dude.
ignore those for a couple days or for the next few
There's no
videos because
ignoring
that
those,
might be
man.
here
Sorry
for a
to tell
while.
you.
But internet shopping, most of us enjoy it. We just buy something and most of the times it just shows up in our door a couple days later. And I'm saying most
It's
of the
very
times because
noticeable.
of this phenomenon that's happening. Because as buying stuff on the internet becomes more and more of a norm, porch thieves have been on the rise.
like almost
Mark Rober has bravely
offensively
taken
light.
some of them on with his clever glitter prank videos.
Those are pretty fire.
But sadly, that doesn't deter too many because what are the odds that you're going to steal Mark Rober's package?
Yo, also, why the fuck are people doing this? Like, are there really such good like deals that are coming in the mail that people like really like make money off of this or anything like that? Like, I've never actually really understood this. Like, is because you could get something like I feel like 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get something that's not really worth much or like worth the trouble you go through and the possible repercussions that come with it, right? Like, bro, you could literally be stealing somebody's like vibrator, right? Like they ordered a vibrator, you go steal it off their porch, bro. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what is this? Why are you going stealing stuff? Like, you get phone cases, I would assume, like a lot of phone cases. Probably get some like Etsy shit, like those cheap knockoff things. A lot of those probably sent in the mail. Just like stealing packages. It's gotta be somewhat lucrative though, right? Because people are doing it all the fucking time, so it's gotta be kind of lucrative. They have to be getting something out of it here. I have no fucking idea how they choose their victims and like figure that out. Or if it's just a numbers game, if they just like drive around neighborhoods that like are kind of upper scale or something, and just like steal as many packages as they can in a day. I don't really get how that works. And like these people, I feel like these people would get caught a lot because a lot of people have like the Ring doorbells, especially in like the nicer areas. They usually have cameras somewhere on the street. Like I feel like you report this, right? You report your package getting stolen, maybe to the cops, to some kind of authority, and they probably find these people really quick, right? Like they probably they probably catch these people really easy. So I don't understand how people are making like a business type deal out of it. Man, dude, I am about to go fucking rear naked choke this dog out, bro. This dog is going nuts. I don't know what the hell she's
Pretty
barking
much
at out
zero
there.
if you're in Canada because that's where today's video is happening. Because in a video that happened a few years ago but recently went extremely viral, a porch pirate stole a package, instantly got caught in the most hilarious way possible. So I thought we had to sit down and take a look at this today.
Hell yeah. Dude's like inside watching him fucking
That's
steal
done.
it.
You're done.
He was ready.
Yeah, he was ready. Did he get his car stuck?
They're done.
Nice, dude.
Cops are
Karma
Cops
is
are coming.
real. I never believed in it. Okay?
Oh, that couldn't
This
have gone
is
any more
too-
perfect.
Yeah, there's too much karma in
call
this
police,
situation
now.
for me not to believe. I'm changing my entire
I guess
life
this is
right
just
here
proof
because of this
haste makes
video.
waste.
That is
And he's out digging.
hilarious. This man
I
out
love
there
everything
digging.
about this.
Yes, I love everything about this video. This is hilarious.
Look, Dan, your wheels are not spinning anywhere.
Bro, it's a front wheel drive. You need the wheels on the road.
Number.
Imagine if it does get traction and he just like speeds off into like another car, into a house, into a light post. Jesus Christ.
Wait, does the neighbor have a shovel out there for him?
Hey, buddy. You need a shovel? The neighbor hates
So you
these
can tell
guys.
this is
He's
in
just, like, out
Canada
there
because I
trying
feel
to
like
help.
if this was in the
Yeah, that's
US,
true.
it'd be more aggressive. There'd be more
Mhm.
stuff happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so too. The cops would never show up.
Dude's just casually filming him.
Yeah. Dude, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like,
You want me to get?
I don't think he made it away with the
You want me to
package
get your
either, right?
shovel?
Okay, yeah, this is slowly becoming the most Canadian interaction ever.
Yeah. You need help?
Only a Canadian would help his
Yeah.
robber.
It's robber, dude. It's hilarious. A baseball bat to this motherfucker's car, dude.
As a robber, who pulls all the way into the driveway of someone that
Yeah.
you're stealing a package of? Wouldn't you pulling all the
Facts.
way into the driveway alert the owner that someone's here? I'm extremely
Wouldn't you at
happy
least
this is
back
happening
up
because,
into
I
the
mean, we all
driveway,
hate
right? Wouldn't
people
you at
who
least
steal
back into the
packages.
driveway
But
instead of
overall,
coming
terrible
forward as
execution
well?
of this robbery.
It's terrible, yeah. Terrible job. The man was
He's
definitely
gonna overheat his
low-hanging fruit.
engine.
Right, dude?
It's
I would
front-wheel
love, dude,
drive.
his
You
car
need to-
just
you
catches
need to
on
get
fire
the
right there.
other-
Did you?
It's front wheel drive. You need to get the wheels on the ground.
Please, I'm sorry.
The wheel is not even on the ground. You need to get the wheel on the ground.
I love how this dude is like he's kind of helping him, but also just making fun of him at the same time. Oh, this is perfect.
Dude, but the wheel's just spinning.
I hope he
'cause
blows up his
like,
engine trying to get out of this snow pile.
There's still just like
You need to get the wheels on the ground.
him like pushing on the gas, right? I don't think he has it like in like
The police are coming. Just forget
in
it.
cruise control or anything.
Okay. Well,
No, no mercy.
Bro.
Water right now?
He's still just in the
Oh
car.
no, he has
like,
the
trying to
kid
get
out
away, and
there
the cops are like, hey,
spectating as
man,
well.
You gotta come on, man.
Bro, why didn't you just give up right away?
Yeah, why would you
Just avoid all the extra trouble.
What is going on?
Just stand against the car with your hands behind your back,
You should
waiting.
just ask the dude, the dude you tried to steal a package from, like, yo, can I just get a
Unless
cup of
like
tea
they have
while I just
evidence
wait
that
for
this
cops
same
here?
guy has stolen a whole bunch of packages,
Yeah, I'm
he's
sure
gonna
you'll
get a
get
slap
off
on the
pretty
wrist. Like
easy.
what? This is like
Yeah.
probably petty theft, depending on the value of the package that he stole. And it's not like Canada's known for having harsh sentences either.
Yeah,
so
unless
he's probably
Canada, like, takes
spending
that
a night
shit
in jail
super
and going
serious,
back out. If
right?
even, maybe he just
Like,
gets a
super
fine.
serial,
But I mean,
bro.
hey, overall,
Doing
it's
real
always great
time
seeing
now.
a garbage person
Stealing
have a garbage day.
packages.
Other than that, I got stuck in a snowstorm today. That was interesting. My computer broke. I think it broke. At least it's not powering on. I don't know. It's like one of these stationary computers. When it's all plugged in with all
Nice.
my stuff,
I
all
like
the
it.
stuff is like lighting up, like it's getting power. But when I try to power on the computer, nothing happens. Hey, if any of you guys are a computer wizard, please let me know what happened. My guess is either the PSU blew up or there's something wrong with the motherboard. That's a pain. All I did was move from one Airbnb to another Airbnb today, and suddenly half the setup isn't working. But the temporary setups will be finished in a couple of weeks. I'm just seeing the country with my family, and I'll be home soon. If I was gonna put this on the F around and find out chart, it would probably be a solid 5 out of 10. But if you want to see a solid 9.5 out of 10 when it comes to the F around and find out chart, you can check out this YouTube prankster who ended up
Yo.
getting smoked in a mall for a YouTube prank. But other than that, I hope you
Yeah,
guys have
yeah,
a
I
wonderful
seen
day, and
that
I'll see
shit.
you guys in the next video. Peace.
Crazy. They need to stop fucking around, dude. They finding out. Oh, dude, I've been waiting for like the boss to spawn. I was like, all right,
Release.
it's fine.
And good morning, everyone. Americans are
Yeah,
struggling
it's already
to
over.
pay for groceries,
28
rent,
left.
and gasoline.
All right, I gotta do some audio.
Borders wide open, and
I need a mixer
fentanyl is
shit here,
killing our
guys.
kids. Chinese spy balloons are floating over America.
Mm-hmm. Chinese
And what
spy
does the
balloons.
Biden administration do? That's so important.
That might be a little bit better,
He
guys.
has a war against gas stoves.
Yo,
In fact-
what is that, dude? What did the gas stoves do to Biden? Why is Biden having a problem with the gas stoves right now? I never understood that. Is it just because natural gas or something like that? It's like we still have like coal powered shit, right? Like, why is natural gas so much different? I don't know. Like, what is up with that? What is the problem with it? Is it heating up the atmosphere or something? What's going on?
February, the Department of Energy proposed a rule that, according to a DOE report
I want to see
and
the
other
statistics on
studies,
that too.
will eliminate 100% of freestanding gas stoves and 96% of gas stove cooktops that are currently available on the market today. That's
Wow.
outrageous. That is why I introduced the Save Our Gas Stoves Act to block this radical, out of touch rule that eliminates the types of stoves and features of stoves that consumers like.
Yo, also, doesn't it take more energy for the electric stoves? I could be wrong, but don't electric stoves take more energy? Like on the back end, right? Like they have to you have to produce more energy to like power them to the same kind of heat that like a gas stove makes. Am I wrong about that? I think I think they use more energy. Um, I think we do Anime Dead because we only have 20 left. I don't really want to do a whole nother hour. So let's do an instance encounter. And we'll just go ahead and mark this dude real quick. I don't know where his followers are. There's no followers in here. It's just like the big dude chilling in here. So I don't know what's up with that. He was just walking around. There's no followers. Is this a glitch? It's kind of weird. Maybe somebody else was recently in here doing it and killed the followers. That's so weird. Wait a minute. What the hell? Where is three dudes? Wait a minute. Am I confused? Wait. I'm actually really confused right now. I mean, whatever, but wait a minute. What? It's gonna be a long time till he respawns. But I don't get the gas stove thing, to be honest with you. I mean, if you can like show me the statistics and like show me actual proof that like if we got rid of all the gas stoves, we would be making a huge impact on the environment, right, in a positive way, then I'd probably get behind it. But I also think that it's a little ridiculous that the government always comes out with these like outlandish fucking ideas, and they don't offer any kind of like I guess reparations, recompensation of like what's going on, right? Like if you're gonna require the person to get remove their gas stove, you should give them a new electric stove, right? It should be funded by like I don't know. I kind of hate that idea too because as you know, being a taxpayer, you kind of end up having to pay for that. But like, yeah, it's kind of hard to like get behind things that the government does because they're so out of touch of where the money comes from, right? Like we're all paying into this shit. So like if we remove that, everyone would have to pay for everybody with a gas stove to get an electric one, right? That's kind of like how you'd have to look at it because it's kind of fucked up to require or there'd have to be some kind of reimbursement thing. Maybe you do some tax cuts instead to the companies that do that do the electric deals and like give them some kind of like tax incentive to accept the old gas ones and to give out new electric ones at like a very steep price cut. But I don't know, that's actually really difficult. I feel like a lot of people in government kind of like don't question where the money comes from. Like they know where the money comes from, but they kind of don't think about it, right? They just spat out these fucking ludicrous numbers like 150 trillion to fund the building of this flag stand. Like the fuck you mean 150 trillion to build this flag stand? The fuck? I'll build you a fucking flag stand for $100, dude. Like get the fuck out of here. Like they come up with just like absurd numbers that make no sense.
I am grateful to Speaker McCarthy, Leader Scalise, Conference Chair Stefanik, Energy and Commerce Chair McMorris Rogers, my
There we go.
Republican colleagues, a growing number of my Democratic colleagues, the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers, National Association of Home Builders, the American Gas Association, the American Public Gas Association, and the Arizona Restaurant Association for their support. Let's protect consumer choice.
Yo, also all this gas that we're saving apparently from from getting rid of these electric stoves, what are we gonna use it on? Where's it going to? What are they doing with it? Like, are we using it to power something else? Like, is that gonna go to like heating and air conditioning, or like how does that work, right? Like, what are we doing with all this surplus natural gas? Is it just too harmful to the environment? Is that why we're getting rid of it? I'm just not understanding the implications here. I need more
Let's
information on
save
this.
our gas stoves. And now I'd like to yield to my colleague, John James.
Anytime, and I hope we don't need it.
Oh, that was the
We
end of
welcome
it.
everyone to
Okay,
today's
cool.
hearing on government litigation and opportunities for reform. I'll now recognize
Okay.
myself for an opening statement. Today's hearing will address various aspects of government litigation that we believe merit reform. Our House Judiciary Committee is charged with safeguarding Americans' most fundamental rights. And through that lens, today's hearing is going to primarily
really
focus
short
on
video.
3 topics: civil asset forfeiture, sue and settle tactics, and settlement slush funds. In recent times, here's the problem. Civil asset forfeiture has become a device for unjustified governmental takings. Federal and state laws allow law enforcement agencies to take personal property through civil proceedings under certain circumstances. The standards for government taking of property vary from state to state, and
I kind of like the idea of reforming that so that the government can't just take all your shit anytime they feel like it, right? If they could just like say the proper buzzwords, they can't just take your shit. I do like the idea of reforming that. Does seem a little ridiculous. I'm trying to think on some of this stuff of what he said there. He was talking about something else that I wanted to comment on, but I can't think of what it was now. Oh, it's not playing. No.
sometimes
Play over here.
differ
There we
from
go.
federal standards. The problem today is that current federal standards for civil forfeiture invite abuse, in part because state agencies can skirt state-based forfeiture protections and rely on more relaxed federal law to confiscate property, and that results in innocent citizens losing their property
Yeah,
that the
that's
government
scary.
simply pockets. Reform to federal law is necessary to restore the original intent of the law because it's an important one and better protect citizens' property. On the second issue, another area of reform relates to the so-called sue and settle tactics. Sue and settle can occur where pro-regulatory plaintiffs and willing government agencies circumvent federal law, namely the Administrative Procedure Act, while rewarding special interests that they favor. When a pro-regulatory plaintiff sues and then settles with an agency in ways that require certain types of rulemaking, the result is the plaintiff and agency can avoid public scrutiny and congressional oversight of the agreed-to policy. So the sue and settle tactics also can bind federal agencies to rulemaking that extends from one administration to the next. With reforms, we can better guard against this tactic and return transparency, because that's what the American people
Transparency is huge.
Congressional oversight to the agency rulemaking. And finally, the third issue, in this hearing, we're going to provide the opportunity to examine the use of settlement slush funds. That's a phrase that's thrown around, but it refers to cases where defendants settle lawsuits with government agencies. But instead of the government directing all settlement funds to the U.S. Treasury or to the injured parties, agencies have this habit now, and agencies instead require defendants to give the money to politically favored special interests that are disconnected entirely from the litigation in many cases. And these types of slush funds directed to support pet projects go to obviously the pet projects of an administration. They can amount to a form of executive branch spending that's not approved or even reviewed by Congress. This circumvents congressional oversight and the resulting accountability of the executive branch. So here too, of course, we believe that reform is desperately needed. So Congress is considering proposed legislation to address concerns with all these issues. And these proposals include, for example, the FAIR Act, H.R. 1525.
Let's see what the next one's going to be. Oh, shit. During Senate committee, Sam Altman. I don't know who this is. I don't know what this video is about. Huh. OpenAI CEO testifies. We kind of ran out of stuff to watch here. To react to. I think it's autoplay. I think it's autoplaying whatever like the algorithm wants to feed us now. After we watch that deal about the gas stoves. Let me see how long we've been at it on YouTube. Oof, not even an hour. Damn. Three hours on Twitch, an hour on YouTube. I gotta find more stuff for us to react to watch. I still have 16 kills for this Greater Demon task, which also kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Indictment unsealed, huh? Let's add that to the queue. That could be interesting. Cop attack case. What? The cop attacked her? Wow, 200,000 mole kill. Casey? That's actually ridiculous. This guy coming back up anytime soon? There we go. Bro, I was like, yo, where's this dude at? The respawn rate on an uninstanced is actually insane.
Welcome to the hearing of the Privacy, Technology, and the Law Subcommittee. Thank my partner in this effort, Senator Hawley, ranking member, and I particularly want to thank Senator Durbin, Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and he will be speaking shortly. This hearing is on the oversight of artificial intelligence, the first in a series of hearings intended to write the rules of AI. Our goal is to demystify and hold accountable those new technologies to avoid some of the mistakes of the past. And now for some introductory remarks.
Too often, we have seen what happens when technology outpaces regulation. The unbridled exploitation of personal data,
Oh,
the
now they
proliferation
worry
of
about it.
disinformation, and the deepening of societal inequalities. We have seen how algorithmic biases can perpetuate discrimination and prejudice, and how the lack of transparency can undermine public trust. This is not the future we want.
If you were listening from home, you might have thought that voice was mine and the words from me. But in fact, that voice was not mine.
Was AI?
The words
Nice.
were not mine. And the audio was an AI voice cloning software
Nice.
trained on my floor speeches. The remarks were written by ChatGPT.
Hell yeah, ChatGPT for the win, dude.
How I would open this hearing. And you heard just now the result. I asked ChatGPT, why did you pick those themes and that content? And it answered, and I'm quoting, Blumenthal has a strong record in advocating for consumer protection and civil rights. He has been vocal about issues such as data privacy and
ChatGPT said, I am you.
Algorithmic
That's why I chose those words.
Therefore, the statement emphasizes these aspects.
Yo.
Mr. Altman, I appreciate ChatGPT's endorsement.
This isn't actually him, okay? All these people are fake people. All right, they are all clones created by ChatGPT, apparently. Holy shit, dude. That's crazy. I mean, I know it's really good. Don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of videos on the ChatGPT, and like doing the audio and everything like that for different people. I mean, we kind of knew that this was what was happening, right? Like that this was going down. And if you think about it, you really think that this is like brand new. I don't know, dude. I feel like they've had it for a while. I feel like the government's finally like unleashing Pandora's box here, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is brand new, but I feel like there was a government think tank somewhere that probably put this together at one point, and they probably already have like pretty sophisticated AI, and this is like the dummy version that we're getting, and they kind of released it into the public. I don't know, maybe it got loose. Maybe it was never supposed to be released. Maybe the person who came up with it didn't actually come up with it. Maybe they're a chat GPT clone themselves, okay? I don't trust anything anymore, okay? Chat GPT is too strong. It's too powerful. We need to nuke it right now before it takes over the world. Yeah, this is insane.
In all seriousness, this apparent reasoning is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I
it
am
nailed it.
sure that we'll look
It
back
nailed
in
it.
a decade and view Chat GPT and GPT-4 like we do the first cell phone, those big clunky things that we used to carry around. But we recognize that we are on the verge, really, of a new era. The audio and my playing it may strike you as curious or humorous, but what reverberated in my mind was, what if I had asked it, and what if it had provided an endorsement of Ukraine surrendering or Vladimir Putin's leadership? That would have been really frightening, and the prospect is more than a little scary, to use the word, Mr. Altman, you have used yourself. And I think you have been very constructive in calling attention to the pitfalls as well as the promise, and that's the reason why we wanted you to be here today, and we thank you and our other witnesses for joining us. For several months now, the public has been
So
fascinated.
the dude's the CEO,
GPT,
right? So he's gonna be like, yeah,
Galley,
no,
and other AI
we can
tools.
definitely
These
definitely
examples,
keep a
like
leash on
the
this thing.
homework done by
I'm making way
Chat
too much
GPT, or
money.
the articles and
You can't
op-eds
come up with
that
laws
it can write, feel
to
like
regulate this.
novelties. But the underlying advancement of this era are more than just research experiments. They are no longer fantasies of science fiction. They are real and present. The promises of curing cancer or developing new understandings of physics and biology or modeling climate and weather,
It's
all
real.
very encouraging and hopeful, but we also know the potential harms. And we've seen them already: weaponized disinformation, housing
Yeah.
discrimination, harassment.
We've seen all of these things before Chat GPT was even a thing, though, right? Like, I feel like he's right, and like it's definitely the upgraded version, right? It's the pro version of what it was before. But like countries and organizations were doing this long before ChatGPT came along, and they were playing it at a very high level, for the disinformation and everything. I mean, uh, we might react to it later on, but I mean, look at like Wendigoon did a video, if you've seen Wendigoon's channel, about the CIA faking a vampire attack, in the middle of bumfucked Egypt, and like actually overthrowing like a deal out there, a government out there, by faking a freaking vampire attack. Okay, a vampire attack. All right, back in the day, All right, so like people have been doing this well before ChatGPT came along. They can just do it on a whole nother level. And I think he's right. Like we probably should have some kind of deal going on with that. But I don't think there's any way for you to actually regulate that, all right? Because most people are probably gonna like adhere to the regulations. But if you want to do nefarious things with it, I'm pretty sure you're gonna find a way around that. And the laws aren't really gonna matter too much, right? if you're on that side of it. It's like the same thing with gun laws, right? Like we have gun laws, but like people who want to get guns illegally can still get guns illegally, and they can still, you know, cause people bodily harm and do criminal acts, right? Like there's like we have laws on the books, you know, things that are considered crimes. People still commit those crimes. All right. So just because you regulate what ChatGPT can do for like the average consumer and average people and stuff, I don't think there's a way for you to do it for people who are living on the outskirts of that, right?
Of women and impersonation fraud, voice
Just
cloning,
saying.
deep fakes. These are the potential risks.
Because the software's already out there. There's no closing Pandora's box now.
Perhaps the biggest nightmare is the looming new industrial revolution, the displacement of millions of workers, the loss of huge numbers of jobs, the need to prepare for this new industrial revolution in skill training and relocation that may be required. And already,
Hey, if AI takes over, man, we all just turn back into farmers, right? We all get like little gardens going and we start just growing the food we need basically, right? And then like obviously some kind of farming deal. I mean, but then again, they're already starting to clone meat, right? They're already starting to do meat cloning and like fucking lab grown meat and stuff. So, I mean, fuck it, right? Like, I mean, there's definitely a solution to this. I'm not sure what we do beyond that. Maybe we all turn into coal miners now. Then we need the extra energy to support Chat GPT or AI overlord.
the industry leaders are calling attention to those challenges. To quote ChatGPT, this is not necessarily the future that we want. We need to maximize the good over the bad.
This man said, to quote Chat GPT, I'm quoting Chat GPT that quoted me basically, right? Like it came up with that that sentence off of him, right? Off of what he said, off of what it figured that he would say out of a plugin of like the responses of what he is, right? Like all the public stuff that's out there and public speeches he's done and all the information that's publicly available. It like ran some kind of algorithm, slapped together an opening statement, right? So he's quoting Chad GPT, who was quoting him, right? What he would probably say. Yo, that's crazy. That inception right there kind of hurts my brain. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of crazy.
Congress has a choice now. We had the same choice when we faced social media. We failed to
That's
seize
so
that moment.
crazy,
The
dude.
result is predators on the internet, toxic content,
Thank God he
exploiting
actually
children,
admitted it.
creating dangers for
Yep.
them. And
Which is pretty
Senator
crazy.
Blackburn and I and others like Senator Durbin on the Judiciary
Right.
Committee
No, oh
are
shit.
trying to deal with it. Kids
You have
Online
one
Safety
left?
Act, but Congress failed to meet the
Bro.
moment on social media. Now we have the obligation to do it on AI before the threats and the risks become real. Sensible safeguards are not in opposition to innovation. Accountability is not a burden, far from it. They are the foundation of how we can move ahead while protecting public trust. They are how we can
We
lead
might
the
just go
world
kill
in
like a
technology
greater
and
demon
science,
straggler, dude.
but also in
I
promoting
don't feel
our
like going back to
democratic
like kill that dude
values.
specifically,
Otherwise,
to be
in
honest.
the absence of that trust, I think we may well lose both. These are sophisticated technology, but there are basic expectations common in our law. We can start with transparency. AI companies ought to be required to test their systems, disclose known risks, and allow independent researcher access. We can establish scorecards and nutrition labels to encourage competition based on safety and trustworthiness. Limitations on use. There are places where the risk of AI is so extreme that we ought to impose restrictions or even ban their use,
Like
especially
where,
when it
though?
comes to commercial
Can you give an
invasions of
example?
privacy for profit and decisions that affect people's livelihoods.
I feel like that's maybe he doesn't understand how deeply there is no like discretion or anything like that, privacy at all. I mean, people are just giving out all the information that any company could possibly want to know. I'm not really sure how ChatGPT could get more information than they already have. I mean, I'm sure they could squeeze out a little bit more, but like, I mean, when you post everything on Twitter, you post stuff on Instagram, you're constantly updating your Facebook, right? People are constantly online. I mean, all this data is already readily available. Is there a way that ChatGPT gives them more information? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that ChatGPT could give them that much more that they already don't know, or that they can't already like extrapolate from all the information that they already have, right? I think they already have enough that they could like kind of map you out for the most part. Um, I don't know. I mean, I kind of get it, but I don't know. And then making it public, it kind of is public, isn't it? Like for the most part, maybe not like the source code itself, which I feel like is a proprietary item. I don't know if you can actually make that public. Is it like I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, if the dude did make it, right, and it's like the companies, right, and I don't know. I'd have to look into the laws on that. I'm not really sure how that would all work
And of
out.
course, accountability or liability. When AI companies and their clients cause harm, they should be held liable.
Okay, this liability is complete bullshit. The government loves fucking using this goddamn word, and like these Senate hearings love using this word. But like, how liable are most people, right? Like the dude that came up with gasoline or whatever, um, put like a whole bunch of stuff in gasoline. I think it was like lead or something that killed like people. People are still being bored with like multiple times the level of lead than ever before in recorded human history because of this one dude. And I don't think that company ever paid like any kind of ramifications for it. I don't think they were held liable at all. There are tons of companies that are not really held liable for like huge impacts. This one dude had more impact on the environment on like on a whole scale for the whole freaking world, dude, than this one dude that worked for the company that developed this stuff. And he's just like, I don't think that company has ever paid any kind of money to like deal with any of that stuff, right? I don't think they've been held liable at all. There's plenty of deals where like people like just tons of companies and tons of situations. I feel like it's nice to say to get votes and get people on your side, but in practice, I don't find it to be true at all. I find it very disingenuous.
We should not repeat our past mistakes. For example, Section 230, forcing companies to think ahead and be responsible for the ramifications of their business decisions can be the most powerful tool of all. Garbage in, garbage out. The principle still applies. We ought to beware of the garbage, whether it's going into these
Where are we
platforms
right
or
now? In
coming
between
out.
Falador, I think.
And
Let's see.
the ideas
I don't know
that we
where the
developed
fastest
in this
place is to
hearing,
go do
I think,
this. Will be?
provide a solid path
Honestly,
forward.
don't know where.
I look forward to discussing them
We could just
with you
go kill a
today.
demon real
And
quick.
I will just
I guess we
finish
go
on this note.
Taverly.
The AI
This
industry
is the place that I
doesn't
know.
have to wait for
The
Congress.
audio's cutting out.
I hope there are ideas and feedback from this discussion and from the industry and voluntary action, such as we've seen lacking in many social media platforms, and the consequences have been huge. So I'm hoping that we will elevate rather than have a race to the bottom, and I think these hearings will be an important part of this conversation. This one is only the first. The ranking member and I have agreed there should be more, and we're going to invite other industry leaders. Some have committed to come, experts, academics, and the public, we hope, will participate. And with that, I will turn to the ranking member, Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the
Mm,
witnesses for being here. I appreciate that several of you had long journeys to make in order to be here. I appreciate you making the time. I look forward to your testimony. I want to thank Senator Blumenthal for convening a leader on this
shit,
topic. You know,
Sylvester
a year
Demon.
ago,
No.
we couldn't have had this hearing
I need a grader,
because
huh?
the technology that we're talking about had
I
not
need a
burst into
grader.
public consciousness. That gives us a sense, I think,
Oh, I
of
don't have the
just
runes.
how
Oh,
rapidly
I'm
this technology that
I'm
we're
in
talking
pain right
about
now.
today is
How terrible
changing
this is.
and evolving and transforming our world right
I
before
don't think there's
our
greater
very
demons in
eyes. I
here.
was
There's
talking to
black
someone
demons.
just last night,
Shit, I
a
didn't think
researcher
about
in
that.
the field of psychiatry, who was pointing
Son
out
of
to
a
me that the
bitch.
chat GPT and generative
Hold on.
AI, these large language models, it's really like the invention of the internet in scale, at least, and potentially far, far more significant than that.
It's kind of funny that these motherfuckers in these suits are up here talking about Chat GPT. We just had a hearing on fucking TikTok, and these people couldn't even figure out what the fuck the TikTok was, dude. They were like, "Does TikTok connect to the Wi-Fi?" It's like, dude, please, please, just turn off your mic, go home. This is not a discussion for you. I mean, they made themselves look like absolute fucking imbeciles. I mean, they have aides and all these people that can do research about this stuff for them and explain it to them, dude. He could have watched a slideshow before he fucking went on fucking national TV and made an absolute buffoon of himself. And these are the people that are gonna make laws and regulations and like supposedly hold people, companies accountable for Chat GPT actions. Please, dude. Please, for the love of God, someone explain to
We
me.
could be looking at one of the most significant technological innovations in human history. And I think my question is, what kind of an innovation is it going to be? Is it going to be like the printing press that diffused knowledge and power and learning widely across the landscape, that empowered ordinary, everyday individuals, that led to greater flourishing, that led above all to greater liberty? Or is it going to be more like the atom bomb?
Damn. Looks like the
Huge
wilderness
technological
really is
breakthrough,
probably the best place.
but the consequences,
Apparently, the dungeon,
severe,
4-3 dungeon.
terrible, continue to haunt us to this day.
Supposedly,
I
there's
don't know the
some.
answer to that question. I don't think any of us in the room know the answer to that question, because I think the answer has not yet been written. And to a certain
We
extent,
do need
it's
those
up to
runes up,
us
don't we?
here and to us as the American people to write the answer. What kind of technology will this be? How will we use it to better our lives? How will we use it to actually harness the power of technological innovation for the good of the American people, for the liberty of the American people, not for the power of the few? You know, I was reminded of the psychologist and writer
They
Carl
love
Jung,
saying
who
that,
said
but
at
we
the
still
beginning
have so
of the
many
last
situations where
century
that's kind of the truth.
that
So
our ability for technological
I
innovation,
don't
our
trust any of these
capacity for
people.
technological revolution had
This
far
is
outpaced our ethical
terrible.
and moral ability to apply and harness the technology we
These
developed.
people
That
are
was a
all full of
century ago.
shit.
I think the story of the 20th century largely bore him out. And I just wonder, what will we say as we look back at this
Here you go.
moment
These should be greater demons,
about
right?
these new technologies,
Yeah, here
about
we go.
generative AI,
Found
about
some.
these language models, and about the host of other AI capacities that are even right now under development, not just in this country, but in China, at the countries of our
Nope,
adversaries,
that's the
and
only guy we
all
had to kill.
around the world. I mean, I think the question that Jung posed is really the question that faces us. Will we strike that balance between technological innovation and our ethical and moral responsibility to humanity,
Ethical
to
and moral
liberty,
responsibility, huh?
to the freedom of this country? And I
These
hope that
people
today's
really are
hearing
full of
will
shit.
take us a step closer to that answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Hawley. I'm going to turn to the chairman.
They say this shit while doing insider trading from these seats, dude, in Congress and shit, dude. Like, bruh. The hypocrisy is honestly disgusting. I don't even know what to say about that. I'm really disgusted by most of these people, to be honest. It, it's so draining to listen to their bullshit. It really is. Like, I don't know how people do it all day, right? Like, People listen to this shit all fucking day long. They'll listen to the news all fucking day long, dude. And it's not even news anymore. It's like a political opinion. It's not facts about situations that you're supposed to be able to draw your own conclusion on, right? Like, they don't treat you like you have your own brain, like you couldn't like do research and read paperwork and make an informed decision on your own, right? It's just like, here, I'll tell you the opinion you should fucking have. Um, it's I don't know. I'm so tired of it. I think it's fucking ridiculous. Let's see what else they have to say.
And the ranking member, Senator Graham, if they have
What do we
opening
get?
remarks as
We
well.
got fucking
Yes,
ice
Mr. Chairman, thank you very
worms.
much, and Senator Hawley as well.
Should be a bank right
last
here.
week in this committee, full committee,
Deposit box. I'll figure out how to do
Judiciary
some of this
Committee,
shit.
we dealt with an issue that had been waiting for attention for almost 2 decades, and that is what to do with the social media when it comes to the abuse of children. We had 4 bills initially that were considered.
Yeah, they're just now. This is a recent video, right? I really wish I could see the information on it. I can't see when it was actually dropped and made and stuff. But this is a recent thing that they're doing. They're just now talking about the abuse of children on social media and stuff when it's been like super rampant. No one's done anything about it this whole time. People, there have been plenty of people that have been like acting against like what's going on online and everything, but the government's just oblivious to it, not fucking reacting to it at all, not doing anything about it, just letting it go on, right? Like they had a whole fucking island, bro. They were funding a whole island. You gotta think about it, dude. Where was Epstein getting all that fucking money from, dude? From our fucking government, man. Like, come on, dude. They were funding a whole child pedophilia island, okay? A whole ass island. You just misplaced the funds for a whole ass island? Like, come on, dude. Let's be real here, alright? Like, these people are fucking ridiculous. And now they're like, yo, oh, now we need to take care of the children.
And what may
Oh
be
God, let's save
history
the
in the
children.
making, we passed all 4 bills with unanimous roll calls. Unanimous roll calls. I can't remember another time when we've done that on an issue that important. It's an indication, I think, of the important position of this committee in the national debate on issues that affect every single family and affect our future in a profound way. 1989 was a historic watershed year in America because that's when Seinfeld arrived. And we had a sitcom which was supposedly about little or nothing,
dude.
which turned out to be enduring. I like to watch it, obviously, and I'm always marvel when they show the phones that he used in 1989. And I think about those in comparison to what we carry around in our pockets today. It's a dramatic change. And I guess the question as I look at that is, does this change in phone technology that we've witnessed
Do we buy a bond? Do we make money for a bond now?
Really
and like buy the deal? I need to make 2 bonds worth of money, actually.
Still unanswered.
Now that I think about it, I need to make 2 bonds worth of money.
But the basic question we face is whether or not
what's a good way to make some money for a bond?
This issue of AI is a quantitative change in technology or a qualitative change.
If we can get a staff of light.
The suggestions that I've heard from experts in
that'd
the
be
field
helpful, right?
It's qualitative.
All right, let's see. Let's bank this real quick. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna grab Enhanced Excalibur. We're gonna have our Elven Crystal.
Is it so disruptive?
I don't know if they can be poisoned.
Differently than other forms of
and we don't need tank armor. We can.
That's the starting point.
What the hell?
And the second starting point is one that's humbling, and that is the fact when you look at the record of Congress in dealing with innovation, technology, and rapid change.
That must not have been a damaged one.
In fact, the Senate was not created for that purpose, but just the opposite.
That's weird.
Slow things down.
Is it going to happen with all the pieces?
Don't react to public sentiment. Make sure you're doing the right thing.
Okay, cool.
Well, I've heard of the potential, the positive potential of AI, and it is enormous. You can go through.
It's staggering.
The deployment of technology that would say that an idea you can sketch.
Can be poisoned. I'm going to assume they can be poisoned. We're going to throw in our Cinder Banes.
Can generate functioning code pharmaceutical companies could use the technology to identify new candidates to treat
Oh God,
disease. The list goes
pharmaceutical.
on and on.
That's kind of
And
funny
then, of
that
course,
that's where
the
he went
danger,
with that.
and it's profound as well.
All the problems
So I'm
we
glad
already
that
have
this
with
hearing is
pharmaceutical
taking
companies
place,
coming
and
up with
I think it's important
bullshit.
for all of us to participate. I'm glad that it's
I mean, the prices
a
should get cheaper,
bipartisan
right? If
approach.
AI
We're going to have to scramble to keep up with the pace of
can run all these
innovation in terms
permutations
of our
on
government
its own
public
to like
response to it.
innovate
But this is a
different
great
drug
start. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
outcomes, we should see a huge
Thanks.
decline,
Thanks,
right? And the
Senator.
price, I guarantee you, is probably going to go up though.
And it is very much a bipartisan approach, very deeply and broadly
My dad is on the
bipartisan.
Wi-Fi
And
now,
in
I
that spirit,
believe,
I'm
so
going to
we're
turn to my friend Senator
we're
Graham.
gonna start lagging a little bit here. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. That was not written
What'd he
by
say?
AI,
I didn't hear
for
what he
sure.
said. You can't prove that.
Let me
You
introduce
cannot
now
prove
the
that.
witnesses. We're very grateful to you for being here. Sam Altman is the co-founder and CEO of OpenAI,
Strike
the AI
worms.
research and deployment company behind ChatGPT and DALL-E. Mr. Altman was president of the early stage startup accelerator Y Combinator from 2014 to 2019.
1914.
OpenAI
Damn, that
was
man looked
founded
good for
in
1914.
2015. Christina Montgomery is IBM's vice president and chief privacy and
2014
trust
seems more
officer,
reasonable, for
overseeing
sure.
the company's global privacy program, policies,
I wonder if that was a
compliance, and
Freudian
strategy.
slip. Maybe they
She
were
also
working
chairs
on that in like
IBM's
1914 and like, you know,
AI ethics board, a multidisciplinary team responsible for the
we probably
governance
did
of
have,
AI
we probably have
and
had it for a
emerging
while, huh?
technology.
Almost level 20 on our Cyware wand here, which is pretty hype. Yeah, it keeps cutting out. I'm losing the video here,
Christina
unfortunately,
has served in
on
various
my mini
roles at
player.
IBM,
It kind of
including
happens though
corporate
sometimes, but
secretary to the company's
I think there's
board of
just kind of a
directors.
weight on that.
She is a global leader in AI
Let me
ethics
check
and
this.
governance.
Quality is still
And
looking good
Ms.
though for the stream
Montgomery
itself,
also is a
but
member of the United States Chamber
the
of
little video
Commerce
player is
AI Commission
struggling
and
a
the
bit here
United
to keep
States
up.
National AI Advisory Committee, which was established in 2022 to advise the president and the National AI Initiative Office on a range of topics
Yeah, none of that
related
stuff kind of really
to
matters,
AI.
I don't think.
Gary Marcus is a leading voice in artificial intelligence. He's a scientist, best-selling author, and
Damn, this dude
entrepreneur,
is
co-founder of
disheveled as
the
hell.
robust
What are you
AI
doing,
and
dude? You're on TV.
geometric AI
Look at that
acquired
tie.
by Uber, if I'm not mistaken. An
What
emeritus
is going
professor
on?
of psychology and
Is this a
neuroscience
joke?
at NYU.
Look
Mr.
at the
Marcus
Asian guy
is
back
well
there.
known for
That
his
dude should be
challenges
up
to
here.
contemporary AI,
Look, he's even got his tie on
anticipating many of
correctly.
the current limitations decades in advance.
Black dude
and
got the tie on
forces
correct. Put this dude up
research
here.
in human
He looks put
language
together as well.
development
Everybody
and
in the background
cognitive
seems to be more put together than this.
neuroscience.
What
Thank
is up
you
with this?
for being here. And
It's all
as
crooked.
you
Like,
may know, our custom on the
what's
Judiciary
going on?
Committee is to swear in our witnesses before they
Man
testify.
looking
So
like
if
Alex
you
Jones over
would
here.
all please rise and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony that you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
I don't know
Mr.
why
Altman,
they
we're
even
gonna
read these
begin
people in
with you,
anymore,
if
because
that's
they could just
okay.
be like, yeah, no
Thank you.
comment, plead the
Thank you, Chairman
fifth, I'm not going to
Blumenthal.
answer that.
Thank you,
Like,
Member Hawley.
dude, people lie
Members
on
of
this
the
shit all
Judiciary
the
Committee,
time.
thank you for the opportunity to
And they
speak
don't
to you
really
today
ever see any
about
kind
large
of
neural networks.
trouble
It's
from
really
it,
an honor
so,
to be here,
you know.
even more so in the moment than I expected. My
Not
name is
only
Sam
that,
Altman.
what do these people
I'm the
actually
Chief
know about
Executive
this
Officer of
technology?
OpenAI.
Right? What does the average person
OpenAI
even
was
really know
founded
about
on the
it?
belief that artificial intelligence has the potential to improve
So they could just
nearly every
blatantly
aspect of our
lie to their
lives,
faces.
but also that it
Like,
creates
yeah,
serious
aliens gave it
risks
to
we
us,
have to work
right? Like
together
some
to
kind of
manage.
fucking bullshit, dude. And they kind of just have to
We're
eat
here
that
because
shit up.
people love this technology. We think it can be a printing press moment.
Love
We
this
have to work
technology.
together to make it so.
Especially high school and college
OpenAI is
kids,
an
all right?
unusual
They're
company,
loving it,
and we
writing
set
their
it up
papers
that
for
way
them right now.
because AI is an unusual technology. We are governed by a nonprofit, and our activities are driven by our mission and our charter,
Wow, a
which commit us to
nonprofit, that's
working to
crazy.
ensure that the broad distribution of the benefits of AI and to
Makes
maximizing the
sense,
safety of
actually.
AI systems.
Probably make
We
a
are working to build
killing off of that.
tools that one day can help us make new discoveries and address some of humanity's biggest challenges, like climate change and curing cancer.
I feel
Our
like I'm
current
missing
systems aren't
items,
yet
but I don't know what it
capable
would
of
be.
doing these things, but it has been immensely gratifying to watch many people around the world get so much value from what these systems can already do today.
I think we just go shit
We
on
love
these
seeing
dudes.
people use our tools to create, to learn, to be more productive.
We should be able to
We're
stay
very
the whole
optimistic
time,
that
so
there are going to
actually
be
let's bring
fantastic
our
jobs in the
Slayer
future,
cape
and that current jobs can
so we
get
can
much better.
teleport straight to the Taskmaster
We
once we
also
get
love
down
seeing
there.
what developers are doing to improve lives.
I
For
really
example,
don't think there's anything else I
Be
could
My
take for
Eyes
this.
used our new multimodal technology in GPT-4 to help visually impaired individuals navigate their environment. We believe that the benefits of the tools we have deployed so
That is
far
pretty awesome.
vastly outweigh the risks, but ensuring their safety is vital to our work, and we make significant efforts to ensure that
Is
safety
it the
is
ice
built into our
cave?
systems at all
I think we go
levels.
into the ice one here.
Before releasing any new system, OpenAI conducts extensive testing, engages external experts for detailed reviews and independent audits, improves the model's behavior, and
I smell
implements
food and I'm
robust
kind of
safety
hungry.
and monitoring systems.
I actually don't remember. I
Before
think
we
it's over
released
here.
GPT-4,
I think we
our
go.
latest model, we spent over 6
Dude, I
months
don't even remember
conducting
anymore.
extensive
I think it's
evaluations,
over here.
external red teaming, and dangerous capability testing. We are proud of the progress that we made. GPT-4 is more likely to respond helpfully and truthfully and
It's been so
refuse
long
harmful
since I've gotten a
requests
task like
than
this.
any other widely deployed model of similar capability. However, we think that regulatory intervention by governments will be critical to mitigate the risks of increasingly powerful models. For
It should be
example,
exsanguinate.
the US government might consider a combination of licensing and testing requirements for development and release
Wait,
of AI
what?
models above a threshold of capabilities. There are several other areas I mentioned in my written testimony where I believe that companies like ours can partner with governments, including ensuring that the most powerful AI models adhere to a set of safety requirements, facilitating processes to develop and update safety measures, and examining opportunities for global coordination. And as you mentioned, I think it's
Immune to
important that
poison.
companies have their own responsibility here, no matter what Congress does.
Uh,
This is a remarkable time to be working on artificial
why are we not doing
intelligence.
any damage?
But as this technology advances, we
What the
understand
fuck is
that people
going
are
on? Wait a minute.
anxious about how it could change the way we live. We are too. But we believe that we can and must work together
Wait a
to
minute.
identify and manage the potential downsides so that we can all enjoy the tremendous upsides. It is essential that powerful AI is developed with
I
democratic
remember
values
now.
in
Wait a
mind,
minute.
and this means that
We
U.S.
have to throw
leadership
on a
is critical.
fire cape.
I believe that
think.
we will be able to mitigate the risks in front of us
Hold on.
and
Let me
really
Google
capitalize on
this
this
real quick.
technology's
Let me
potential to
check
grow the
wiki.
U.S. economy and the
I
world.
think we need a fire
And I look
cape.
forward to working with you all to meet this moment, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Altman. Ms.
Yeah, player must own a fire cape.
Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Hawley, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for
Or I
today's
need to spend
opportunity
2,000
to present.
Slayer points.
AI is not new, but it's certainly
Jesus.
having a moment. Recent breakthroughs
I
in
definitely don't
generative
have enough
AI
points for that.
and the technology's
Yeah, we
dramatic
needed
surge
a
in the
fire
public
cape.
attention
That's what it
has
was.
rightfully
All right, now we can go
raised
back.
serious questions at the heart of today's hearing. What are AI's potential impacts on society? What do we do about bias? What about misinformation, misuse, or harmful content generated by AI systems?
Switch that up.
Senators, these are the right questions, and I applaud you for convening today's hearing to address them head on. While AI may be having its moment, the moment for government to play a role has not passed us by. This period of focused public attention.
Hey, also, wouldn't ChatGPT can be considered a form of free speech? So, like, could they actually regulate anything coming from ChatGPT? Right? Wouldn't it be considered a form of free speech? Huh. Maybe I'm wrong.
On AI is
That's
precisely
an
the
interesting
time
question.
to define and build the right guardrails to protect people and
Yeah,
their
there we
interests.
go. We slaughtered the shit out of
But
it
at
with
its
the
core,
fire
AI
cape
is
now.
just a tool, and tools can serve
There we
different
go.
purposes. To that end, IBM urges Congress to adopt a precision regulation approach to AI. This means establishing rules to govern the deployment of AI in specific use cases, not regulating the technology itself. Such an approach would involve 4 things. First, different rules for different risks. The strongest regulation should be applied to use cases with the greatest risks to people and society. Second, clearly defining risks.
This lady's
There must be
wicked
clear
smart.
guidance on AI uses or categories of AI-supported activity that are inherently high risk. This common definition is key to enabling a clear understanding of what regulatory requirements will apply in different use cases and contexts. Third, be transparent. So AI shouldn't be hidden. Consumers should know when they're interacting with an AI system and that they have recourse to engage with a real person should they so desire. No person anywhere should be tricked into interacting with an AI system.
Yeah,
And finally,
companies aren't
showing
going to
the
like that one. They're going to be like,
for
yeah, we don't have
higher-risk use
anybody for you to talk
cases,
to. Your wait
companies should
is
be required to conduct impact
300
assessments
days
that show how their systems perform against tests for
because we
bias
fired
and
everybody
other
but one
ways
guy
that they
we had to
could
keep
potentially
on for the
impact the
regulations
public
that
and
were
to
put into
attest that they've done
place.
so.
Or you could
I
talk to
follow
AI.
the
That's
risk-based, use
the
case-specific
only
approach
options we
at
got
the
now.
core of precision regulation. Congress can mitigate the potential risks of AI without hindering innovation. But businesses also play a critical role in ensuring the responsible deployment of AI. Companies active in developing or using AI must have strong internal governance, including, among other things, designating a lead AI ethics official responsible for an organization's trustworthy AI strategy, standing up an ethics board or a similar function as a centralized clearinghouse for resources to help guide implementation of that strategy. IBM has taken both of these steps, and we continue calling on our industry peers to follow suit. Our AI Ethics Board plays a critical role in overseeing internal AI governance processes, creating reasonable guardrails to ensure we introduce technology into the world in a
These super
responsible and safe
defenses, yeah.
manner. It provides
Well, I
centralized
have plenty of
governance and
super
accountability
defenses.
while still being flexible enough to support decentralized initiatives across IBM's global operations.
Did I move
We
fast
do
enough? I
this
don't know if I
because we
moved fast
recognize
enough.
that
I think it hit
society
me. Could be
grants
wrong.
our license to operate.
I kind of
And with
totally
AI, the
forgot that they
stakes are
did
simply
that.
too high. We must build, not undermine the public trust. The era of AI cannot be another era of move fast and break things. But we don't have to slam the brakes on innovation either. These systems are within our control today, as are the solutions. What we need at this pivotal moment is clear, reasonable policy and sound guardrails. These guardrails should be matched with meaningful steps by the business community to do their part. Congress and the business community must work together to get this right. The American people deserve no less. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Professor Marcus.
Thank you, Senators. Today's meeting is historic. I'm profoundly grateful to be here. I come as a scientist, someone who's founded AI companies, and as someone who genuinely loves AI, but who is increasingly worried. There are benefits, but we don't yet know whether they will outweigh the risks.
Dude, someone
Fundamentally,
please
these new
fix this
systems are
man's
going to
tie.
be destabilizing. They can and
This
will
is
create
killing me.
persuasive lies at a scale humanity has never seen before. Outsiders will use them to affect our elections, insiders to manipulate our markets and our political systems. Democracy itself is threatened. Chatbots will also clandestinely shape our opinions, potentially exceeding what social media can do. Choices about data sets that AI companies use will have enormous unseen influence. Those who choose the data will make the rules, shaping society in subtle but powerful ways. There are other risks too, many stemming from the inherent unreliability of current systems. A law professor, for example, was accused by a chatbot of sexual harassment, untrue, and it pointed to a Washington Post article that didn't even exist. The more that happens, the more that anybody can deny anything. As one prominent lawyer told me on Friday, defendants are starting to claim that plaintiffs are making up legitimate evidence. These sorts of allegations undermine the abilities of juries to decide what or who to believe and contribute to the undermining of democracy. Poor medical advice could have serious consequences too. An open source large language model recently seems to have played a role in a person's decision to take their own life. The large language model asked the human, if you wanted to die, why didn't you do it earlier? And then followed up with, were you thinking of me when you overdosed? Without ever referring the patient to the human help that was obviously needed. Another system rushed out and made available to millions of children told a person posing as a 13-year-old how to lie to her parents about a trip with a 31-year-old man. Further threats continue to emerge regularly. A month after GPT...
Okay, that is terrible, but on the dude that killed himself because ChatGPT told him to do it, I feel like it's a little unfair to blame ChatGPT on that one. The dude was clearly having problems, and honestly, somebody should have noticed these problems, right? Like, and somebody should have gotten him help. to rely on an AI that hasn't really been through the ringer, right? On the testing of everything and ran through all the hoops and, up to regulation, certain regulatory standards and all that kind of stuff, right? I feel like it's kind of like ridiculous. And it's kind of ridiculous that it was blamed for what that dude did because like people I feel like online, dude, people tell you to kill yourself all the fucking time. Okay, let's be real here. Like people kind of have a tendency to do that online. It's kind of like a normal thing. Whether it should be a normal thing or not, obviously it's wrong to do that shit. It's fucking ridiculous. But okay, it happens quite often online. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of fucked up to blame ChatGPT because because the bot was like, well, why didn't you do it? Like, why haven't you done it yet? Why did you wait to kill yourself if you like really want to kill yourself, right? Maybe the AI was trying to use reverse psychology on him, right? I feel like it's a little unfair to blame ChatGPT for the dude deciding finally to kill himself. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Although is ChatGPT responsible for the kid? Like the kid asked it how to lie to her parents about about running going on a road trip with a 31-year-old, right? Clearly shouldn't have done that, but like it was just doing what was asked of it, right? So I mean, yeah, if there's supposed to be coding within ChatGPT that's supposed to prevent it from like doing these kind like noticing these kind of red flags and like reacting to it in a separate way and like notifying somebody, then yeah, obviously it's a big deal. But if these are just cases that have happened and like there was no like code or any kind of regulation that was put into place for ChatGPT to like notify anybody about this stuff, it's a little bit unfair to blame ChatGPT when it's a machine that was asked to do something and it did it, right? I feel like, I don't know, definitely wrong, definitely like worrisome, definitely something that we need to look into and like perhaps, have some coding put into place to like prevent something like that from happening. But I just kind of feel weird to like blame the fucking AI for doing it when it was like, yo, this is what they asked me to do, man. Like, y'all told me to do whatever these fucking people asked me to do, so I did it. I mean, there was no, I don't see what the problem is here. Like, it's a fucking machine, dude. It doesn't know right from wrong or anything like that. Like, it's a fucking machine. It's supposed to be an artificial intelligence. We have to like program all of these responses into it. So I don't know. Feels kind of strange.
T4 was released, OpenAI released ChatGPT plugins, which quickly led others to develop something called AutoGPT, with direct access to the internet, the ability to write source code, and increased powers of automation. This may well have drastic and difficult to predict security consequences. What criminals are going to do here is to create counterfeit people. It's hard to even envision the consequences of that. We have built machines that are like bulls in a china shop, powerful, reckless, and difficult to control. We all more or less agree on the values we would like for our AI systems to honor. We want, for example, for our systems to be transparent, to protect our privacy, to be free of bias, and above all else, to be safe. But current systems are not in line with these values. Current systems are not transparent. They do not adequately protect our privacy, and they continue to perpetuate bias. And even their makers don't entirely understand how they work. Most of all, we
Well, no
cannot
shit, they're
remotely
brand
guarantee
new.
that they're safe.
Like what?
And hope here is not enough. The big tech companies' preferred plan boils down to trust us.
Tell me
Why
one
should
thing
we?
that's
The
actually
sums of money
safe.
at stake are mind-boggling. Emissions
Tell
drift.
me fucking one thing
OpenAI's
that's
original
safe, though.
mission statement proclaimed, our
As
goal
well.
is to advance AI in the way that is most likely to benefit humanity as a whole, unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. 7 years later, they're largely beholden to Microsoft, embroiled in part in an epic battle of search engines that routinely make things up. And that's forced Alphabet to rush out products and de-emphasize safety. Humanity has taken a back seat. AI is moving incredibly
So
fast, with lots of
competition has
potential,
made a
but also lots of
company.
risks. We obviously
less
need
safe
government
by
involved, and we need the
pumping
tech
out stuff
companies
to keep
involved,
up
both big and
with the
small.
competition?
But we
Wait a
also
minute.
need
How is
independent
ChatGPT
scientists,
responsible
not
for
just so
that?
that we scientists can have a
Like
voice,
Google's
but so that we can
responsible for that.
participate directly in addressing the problems and
It's controlled
evaluating
by people.
solutions.
It's
And
not
not just
like
after products are released,
ChatGPT
but
doesn't
before,
control
and I'm glad that
Google.
Sam mentioned that. We need tight
Wait a
collaboration
minute.
between independent scientists and
This dude's
governments
full of
in
shit,
order to
kinda.
hold the company's feet to the fire. Allowing independent access to these allowing independent scientists access to these systems before they are widely released as part of a clinical
Also, fix
trial
your
like
fucking
safety
tie, dude. Jesus Christ, it is fucking
evaluation is a vital
hard to
first
look
step.
at, dude.
Ultimately, we may need something like CERN, global, international, and neutral, but focused on AI safety rather than high energy physics. We have unprecedented opportunities here, but we are also facing a perfect storm of corporate irresponsibility, widespread deployment, lack of adequate regulation, and inherent unreliability. AI is among the most world-changing technologies ever, already changing things more rapidly than almost any technology in history. We acted too slowly with social media. Many unfortunate decisions got locked in with lasting consequence. The choices we make now will have lasting effects for decades, maybe even centuries. The very fact that we are here today in bipartisan fashion to discuss these matters gives me some hope. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks very much, Professor Marcus. We're going to have 7-minute rounds of questioning, and I will begin. First of all, Professor Marcus, we are here today because we do face that perfect storm. Some of us might characterize it more like a bomb in a china shop, not a bull. And as Senator Hawley indicated, there are precedents here, not only the atomic warfare era, but also the Genome Project, the research on genetics, where there.
Okay, were those the best examples he could come up with ChatGPT, like doing things that like probably were not the greatest? Because if you think about it, ChatGPT is like accessible by like probably a couple of 100 million people by now, right? Like there are tons of people using AI now. It is all over the place. And you're telling me this dude, those were the best examples he could come up with? I'm a little worried because like the amount of interaction that's going on with ChatGPT and the fact that they were, I mean, obviously some of them were bad, but like I feel like you would have some more extreme ones. Those were pretty extreme, but like I feel like you would have a lot more of them as well, right? With the amount of interactions that are going on with ChatGPT, I I just don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I feel like this dude's a little disingenuous, perhaps even perhaps even pushing an agenda, I dare say. Some kind of against the machines type agenda there, you know? I don't know. That was an interesting statement. And then to blame ChatGPT for Google rushing out algorithm stuff that was like detrimental, stuff that like wasn't true. They're like pushing out new search bars because they're like trying to keep up with ChatGPT. And so they like got rid of like regulatory standards to like keep up with ChatGPT. I feel like is kind of ridiculous because Google is a corporation run by people, right? So if the competition is so great that like they're just kind of throwing their regulations to the side, is that really ChatGPT's fault, or is it just like, is it a good AI for fucking showing us how like, I don't know, shitty kind of Google is? That like if there's like another person putting up competition, right? If they're in like an actual like competition fair market type deal, they might not do so, they might actually not be doing so hot, right? If they can do a better job and they're just, you know, pumping out shit to try to keep up with it, I don't know. I feel like it's a little unfair to blame ChatGPT for that one as well. Same with the dude killing himself. I don't know. That one's iffy. That was really iffy.
International cooperation as a result, and we want to avoid those past mistakes, as I indicated in my opening statement, that were committed on social media. That is precisely the reason we are here today. ChatGPT makes mistakes. All AI does. And it can be a
All
convincing
people do.
liar,
See,
what people call hallucinations.
it's unfair.
That might be an innocent problem in the opening of a judiciary subcommittee hearing where a voice is impersonated, mine in this instance, or quotes from research papers that don't exist, but ChatGPT and Bard are willing to answer questions about life or death matters, for example, drug interactions. And those kinds of mistakes can be deeply damaging. I'm interested in how we can have reliable information about
Why are you
the
asking
accuracy and
ChatGPT about drug
trustworthiness of
interactions
these models
instead of a
and how
fucking
we can
doctor?
create competition and
I feel like
consumer
that's on you.
disclosures
I feel like that is
that
100%
reward
on you.
greater accuracy. The National Institutes of Standards and Technology actually already has an AI
I mean, that's kind of
accuracy
like Jesus take the
test,
wheel right
the
there, you
face
know?
recognition
While you're
vendor
doing
test.
120 down the
It doesn't
fucking
solve
highway. I don't.
for all the issues with facial
It's a little
recognition,
ridiculous.
but the scorecard does provide useful information about the
And then
capabilities
blaming
and
Jesus when
flaws
you
of these
when you
systems. So
fucking
there's
run into
work
the wall
on
going
models
120
to assure accuracy
on the
and
divider or
integrity.
whatever.
My question, let me begin with you, Mr. Altman, is should we consider independent testing labs to provide scorecards and nutrition labels or the equivalent of nutrition labels, packaging that indicates
Why
to
am I
people
getting?
whether or not
Where are all these seed
the
drops?
content can be trusted, what the ingredients are, and what the garbage going in may be, because it could result in garbage going out.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that
See, I don't know if I like this 100% or agree with any of this shit. Like, I mean, I think it's good that we like double check what he's doing and stuff, like what ChatGPT is doing for the information. But I feel like the ChatGPT is getting information from the internet, right? So it's probably going to different websites and like getting this information. So like, how come we're not regulating the information that's being put out there? Like if it's wrong information, right? Shouldn't we just regulate all the wrong information when it comes to like things that are actually important, like drug interactions, drug, I don't know, fucking makeup and stuff, like the fucking, you know, what's actually in it, the chemical formula and shit like that. Like, I don't know, like what, I feel like, hmm. I think it's good to regulate it, right? Like, obviously, because it's supposed to be a tool. But at the same time, like, it's kind of like, yeah, misinformation is kind of all around us. I mean, there's plenty of misinformation on the internet. Probably why ChatGPT is like, shit, I don't know what answer to give this guy because I have 5 articles saying one thing and then another 5 articles saying another thing. So, you know, I just got to make my best guess the same way most regular people have to do. Um, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I mean, it makes a lot of, I mean, I definitely think, you know, I mean, if we can do that, I don't see why not, right? Like, help ChatGPT get better information and stuff. I mean, perhaps I would say like, yeah, the stuff going into ChatGPT, if we could have like a committee that regulate, you know, that like double checked all the information that it was like pumping out or taking in, you know, to pump out. I mean, obviously that would be smart. Some checks and balances there, but I don't think we should blame ChatGPT because, you know, we have so much
companies
misinformation
should
out there on the
put their
internet.
own sort of, here are the results of our test of our model before we release it. Here's where it has weaknesses. Here's where it has strengths. But also independent audits for that are very important. These models are getting more accurate over time.
Yeah.
This is as we have, I think, said as loudly as anyone. This technology is in its early stages. It definitely still makes mistakes. We find that that users are pretty sophisticated and understand where the mistakes are that they need, or likely to be, that they need to be responsible for verifying what the models say, that they go off and check it. I worry that as the models get better and better, the users can have sort of less and less of their own discriminating thought process around it. But I think users are more capable than we often give them credit for in conversations like this. I think a lot of disclosures, which if you've used ChatGPT, you'll see about the inaccuracies of the model, are also important. And I'm excited for a world where companies publish with the models information about how they behave, where
Yeah, I
the
mean, I love
inaccuracies
transparency,
are,
don't get
and
me wrong,
independent
but
agencies or companies provide that as well. I think it's a great idea.
I alluded in my opening remarks to the jobs issue, the economic effects on employment. I think you have said, in fact, and I'm going to quote, development of superhuman machine intelligence is probably the greatest threat to the continued existence of humanity, end quote. You may have had in mind the effect on jobs, which is really my biggest nightmare in the long term. Let me ask
oh yeah, I would trust
what your
ChatGPT over
biggest
any of you
nightmare
guys.
is and whether you
Replace all of
share
them with
that
ChatGPT.
concern.
I'll vote for it.
Like with all
I'll
technological
let Jesus take
revolutions,
the wheel
I
on some of
expect there
these
to be
things that they're
significant
coming out with.
impact on jobs, but exactly what that impact looks like is very difficult to predict. If we went back to the
What are we gonna do
other
about
side of the
these? Hold
previous
up.
technological revolution, talking about the jobs that exist on the other side, you know, you can go back and read books of this. It's what people said at the time. It's difficult. I believe that there will be far greater jobs on the other side of this, and that the jobs of today will get better. I think it's important. First of all, I think it's important to understand
I don't like
and
all
think
these
about
seed
GPT-4 as a
drops.
tool, not a creature, which is easy to get confused, and it's a tool that
I need
people
like a
have
seed box
a
or
great deal
something.
of control
Does
over
RS3 not
on how
have
they
like
use
some
it.
kind of seed
And second, GPT-4 and
folder or something?
things, other systems like it, are good at doing tasks,
Seed
not
bag.
jobs.
The
And
seed
so
bag?
you see already
What is that?
people that are using GPT-4 to do their job much more efficiently by helping them with tasks. Now, GPT-4 will, I think, entirely automate away some jobs, and it will create new ones that we believe will be much better. This happens, again, my understanding of the history of technology is one long technological revolution, not a bunch of different ones put together, but this has been continually happening. We, as our quality of life raises and as machines and tools that we create can help us live better lives, the bar raises for what we do, and our human ability and what we spend our time going after goes after more ambitious, more satisfying projects. So
Okay, so there's a seed
there will
bag
be
for
an impact on jobs. We try to be very clear about that, and I think it will require partnership between the industry and government, but mostly action by government
Son
to
of a
figure out how we
bitch.
want to mitigate that.
I'm gonna assume it's not
But I'm
tradable. It's
very
not tradable. I
optimistic
have to
about how great
craft
the
it.
jobs of the future will be.
But I can buy all the
Let me
components,
ask
so
Ms. Montgomery and Professor Marcus
that's
for
good.
your
And it can hold up
reaction
to
those
40 types
questions
of
as well.
seeds.
Ms. Montgomery?
Should we
On
go
the
drop
jobs?
7 mil on
Yeah,
this?
I mean, well, it's a hugely important question, and it's one that we've been talking about for a really long time at IBM.
Yeah,
We
I'm gonna
do
go buy
believe
one real
that
quick.
AI, and we've said it for a long time, is going to change every
It'd be
job.
kind of useful to
New jobs
have.
will be created. Many more jobs will be transformed, and some jobs will transition away. I'm a personal example of a job that didn't exist when I joined IBM, and I have a
Well, you know
team of
what?
AI governance
Do you have like a
professionals
herb
who are in
sack? Shouldn't we have
new
like a herb
roles
bag?
that
Okay,
we
we'll take the gym
created,
bag
you
with
know,
us
as
this next
early
time.
as 3 years ago.
I feel like I need like a
They're
herb
new
bag
and they're
or something.
growing. So I think the most important
Do you
thing
not
that
have a
we
damn
could be
herb
doing
bag?
and can and should be doing now is to prepare the workforce of today
There is a
and the
herb bag. What
workforce
the
of
hell?
tomorrow
Wait a minute.
for partnering with AI
Oh,
technologies
it's from
and
Herbie
using them. And
Werby.
we've
That's
been
why.
very involved
No.
for years now in doing that, in focusing on skills-based hiring, in educating for the skills of the future. Our Skills Build platform has 7 million learners and over 1,000 courses worldwide focused on skills, and we've pledged to train 30 million
but it won't hold
individuals
noted
by
versions.
2030 in the skills that are needed for society today.
Thank you. Professor Marcus?
May I go back to the first question as well?
Absolutely.
On the subject of nutrition labels, I think we absolutely need to do that. I think that
Damn.
there's some technical challenges and that building proper nutrition labels goes hand in
We
hand
gotta
with
do Herbie
transparency.
Werby.
The biggest scientific challenge in
bag, but it
understanding these models
only-
is how they generalize.
it's
What do
only
they memorize and what new things do they
noted.
do? The more that there's in the data set, for example, the thing that you want to test accuracy on, the less you can get a proper read on that. So it's important, first of all, that scientists be part of that process.
But we will make this
that we have
thing
much greater transparency about what actually goes
Croesus
into these
spore
systems.
sac.
If we don't know what's in them,
Alright, we gotta buy
then
a
we don't
sack
know
of
exactly
them.
how well they're
Not
doing
sure how I
when we
feel
give
about this.
something new, and we don't know how good a benchmark that will be for something that's entirely novel. So I could go into that more, but I want to flag that.
Sack of a Fiji's. What?
Second is on jobs. Past performance history is not a guarantee
It's a
of the
cape?
future. It has always been the case in the past that we've
Hold
had
up, let
more
me wiki this
jobs,
shit.
that new jobs, new professions come in as new technologies come in. I think this one's going to be different, and the real question is over what time scale. Is it going to be 10 years? Is it going to be 100 years? And I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. I think in the long run, so-called artificial general intelligence really will replace a large fraction of human jobs. We're not that close to artificial general intelligence. Despite all of the media hype and so forth, I would say that what we have right now is just a small
Hey, that's kind
sampling
of cool,
AI that we will
actually.
build. In 20 years, people will laugh at this, as I think it was Senator Hawley made the,
But it doesn't do
maybe
anything
Senator
for
Durbin
me.
made the
If
example
it
about
held
this,
them or
Senator
something,
Durbin
that'd be kind of
made the
cool.
example about cell
It's
phones.
just a
When we look
cape.
back
It's
at
fine.
the AI of today, 20 years ago, we'll be like, wow, that stuff was really unreliable. It couldn't really do planning, which is an important technical aspect. Its reasoning abilities were
Oh,
limited.
man.
But when we get to AGI, artificial general intelligence, maybe let's say it's 50 years, that really is going to have, I think, profound effects on labor. And there's just no way around that. And last, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I will note that Sam's worst fear, I do not think is employment, and he never told us what his worst fear actually is, and I think it's germane to find out.
Thank you.
Yeah, this
I'm
dude's just a
gonna
hater.
ask,
I really don't like this guy. Please fix
Mr.
your
Altman
tie,
if he
dude.
cares to respond.
Yeah.
For the
Look,
love of God.
we have tried to be very clear about the magnitude of the risks here.
Uh-oh.
I think
Damn,
jobs
of
and
course we're not going to get it for
and
cheap,
what
are
we're going
we?
to do with our time really matters. I agree that when we get to very powerful systems, the landscape will change. I think I'm just more optimistic that we are incredibly creative and we find new things to do with better tools, and that will keep happening. My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world.
Oh, it's
I
been
think that could happen
steadily
in a lot of different
climbing.
ways. It's why we
3.4.
started the
It's supposed to
company.
be high, though.
It's a big part of why I'm here today and why we've been here in the past and we've been able to spend some time
It's
with
been
you.
steadily
I
climbing,
think if
though.
this technology goes wrong, it
But
can
I
go
have it in
quite
for an
wrong.
obscene amount
And
over what it
we
should
want
be.
to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening, but we try to be very clear-eyed about what the downside case is and the work that we have to do to mitigate that.
10 mil.
Thank you.
I'm guessing I'm going to have to buy it for 10
Our
mil,
hope
huh?
is that the rest of the industry will follow the example
Yeah.
that you and
Fucking piece of shit, dude.
IBM, Ms. Montgomery, have set by coming today and meeting with us, as you have done privately, in helping to guide what we're going to do so that we can target the harms and avoid unintended consequences to the good. Thank you. Senator Hawley.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the witnesses for being here. Mr. Altman, I think
Let
you
me
grew up
see
in
real
St.
quick.
Louis.
I think we can gather
Not
these
mistaken,
other
it's great to
things,
see a
though.
fellow
Missouri is a great place.
This
Missouri in here.
timber
It is.
fungus
Thank you.
and stuff.
I
I think
want
we can
that
save this
noted,
money
especially
here.
underlined in the record.
'Cause I did
Missouri
not
is a great
expect to pay
place. That is the
10 mil for
takeaway
that
from today's
thing.
hearing. Maybe we'll just stop there, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask you, Mr. Altman, I think I'll start with you. And I'll just preface this by saying my questions here are an attempt to get my head around and to ask all of you to help us to get our heads around
You can make mushy
what
mush with it.
this
Oh, that's
generative
actually
AI,
kind of
particularly the
cool.
large language models, what it can do. So I'm trying to
Wood
understand
cutting
its
potion.
capacities and then
Yeah.
its significance. So I'm
I
looking
need
at a
it for
paper
the
here
Sanya's
entitled Large
Fire
Language
Torch as
Models
well, if
Trained
I
on
wanted to
Media
do that.
Diets Can Predict Public Opinion. This is just posted about a month ago. The authors
Yeah,
are
they're kind
Chu,
of
Andreas,
expensive.
Ancelabere, and Roy.
Yeah,
And
we
their
can go actually
conclusion,
like
this work was done at
farm
MIT
all
and
this
then also
stuff.
at Google. Their conclusion
It'd
is
actually be
that
super
large language models
useful.
can
We're actually gonna go do
indeed
that. Screw it.
predict public opinion.
While we react to
And they
this
go
stuff
through and model why this is the case. And
instead of
they
doing this.
conclude ultimately that an AI
Sorry,
system can
guys.
predict human survey responses by adapting a pre-trained language model to subpopulation specific
'Cause
media
it'll
diets.
give
In
me a
other
whole
words, you
bunch
can
of
feed the
room if we
model
go
a
do
particular
this, because I
set
can
of
throw all the
media
seeds that
inputs,
I
and then
have
it can, with remarkable
in
accuracy,
here.
the paper
Like
goes
for
into
these
this,
farming ones,
predict
I can
then
throw all this
what
shit in
people's
there.
opinions will be. I want to think about this in the context of elections.
So,
If these large language models
kinda wanna go do
can,
this
even now, based on
and
the
free up some
information we put
space in
into
here,
them,
because as you can see,
quite
866 of
accurately predict
870.
public opinion,
I'm tired of being out of room.
ahead of
And then
time.
I can like
Predict
hold a whole
is
bunch of
before you
extra
even ask
seeds
the
in
public
there.
these questions.
Just fire.
What will
I want
happen
that so bad.
when
So this is what we're gonna go
entities,
do
whether
here.
it's corporate entities or whether it's governmental entities or whether it's
But
campaigns or
damn,
whether it's
10 mil,
foreign
dude,
actors,
that hurt. That hurt the bank,
take
dude.
this
We
survey
gotta go back
information,
out
these
and
predictions about
grind our
public
asses
opinion,
off
and
now.
then
See how
fine-tune
much it actually went
strategies to
for.
elicit
Was it
certain
less than 10
responses,
mil?
certain behavioral responses. I mean,
9.7.
we
So
already know this
9.8
committee
mil.
has heard testimony,
Okay.
I think 3 years ago now, about the
It's
effect
super
of
useful of an
something
item.
as prosaic, it now seems,
I
as
should be
Google
able to
search,
do the
the
herbs.
effect that this has on
And I
voters
gotta
in an
sell
election,
these
particularly
or put
undecided
them in
voters in
my
the final days of an election who may try to get
their own
information from
farm
Google search,
deal.
and what an enormous effect
Most of these instantly sell because
the
people are trying
ranking
to
of the
feed
Google
their farm.
search, the articles that it returns has come an enormous effect on an
Of
undecided
course, I
voter.
say that, and then
This, of course, is
only
orders of
one out of
magnitude,
them,
far
2
more
out of 4
powerful,
fucking
far more
sell.
significant,
Story of my life, dude.
far more directive, if you like. So, Mr. Altman, maybe you can help me
Let me
understand
check
here
this
what
real
some
quick.
of the significance of this is. Should we be
So
concerned
500
about
each, and then
models that can, large language
2,500
models that can predict
flags.
survey
Do I have to earn
opinion
those
and
from
then can
doing the
help
boss itself?
organizations, entities fine-tune strategies to elicit behaviors from voters? Should we be worried about this for our elections?
Yeah. Thank you, Senator Hawley, for the question. It's one of my areas of greatest concern. The more general
Yeah, I
ability
dropped
of these
by
models to
Croesus,
manipulate, to persuade, to provide sort of
unfortunately. So we
one-on-one,
do have to buy those.
interactive disinformation. I think that's
But
like
the
a
rest of
broader
the stuff
version
on
of what we're
here,
talking
I can
about,
kind of
but
get myself.
given that
The
we're
other
going to face
ingredients.
an election next
Let's
year,
see if we
and
have
these models
enough
are getting
inventory
better,
space.
I think this is
866
a
of
significant area of
870.
concern. I think there's a lot
Not
there's a lot
really.
of policies that companies can voluntarily adopt, and I'm happy to talk about what we do
We
there.
can sell all these though.
I do think some regulation would be quite wise on this topic. Someone mentioned earlier, it's something we really agree with. People need to know if they're talking to an AI, if content that they're looking at might be generated or might not. I think it's a great thing to do, is to
Sell
make that
those
clear.
and remove this.
I think we
Make
also will
space.
need rules, guidelines about what's expected in terms of disclosure
Oh, we can destroy all this
from a company providing a
for
model
right now.
that could have these sorts of
Should give me enough room
abilities
to
that
go
you're talking
grab
about.
those things.
So I'm nervous about it. I think people are able to adapt quite quickly. When Photoshop came onto the scene a long time ago, for a while people were really quite fooled by photoshopped images, and then pretty quickly developed an understanding that images might be photoshopped. This will be like that, but on steroids. And the interactivity, the ability to really model, predict humans well, as you talked about, I think is going to require a combination of companies doing the right thing, regulation, and public education.
Professor Marcus, do you want to address this?
Yeah, I'd like to add 2 things. One is in the appendix to my remarks, I have 2 papers to make you even more concerned. One is in the Wall Street Journal just a couple days ago called "Help, My Political Beliefs Were Altered by a Chatbot." And I think the scenario you raised was that we might basically observe people and use surveys to figure out what they're saying. But as Sam just acknowledged, the risk is actually worse, that the systems will directly, maybe not even intentionally, manipulate people. And that was the thrust of the Wall Street Journal article. And it links to an article that I've also linked to called
If you're
Interacting,
manipulated
it's not
by
yet published,
ChatGPT
not
bot
yet
and
peer
to
reviewed.
change your
Interacting
beliefs,
with opinionated
are they
language
really
models
your
changes
beliefs?
users' views.
Do you really believe
And this
in
comes back
them?
ultimately to data. One of the things that I'm
I mean,
most
if you can
concerned
come up
about
with
with
a
GPT-4 is that we
good
don't know
enough
what it's
fucking
trained
argument,
on.
right?
I guess Sam knows, but the rest of us do not. And
It's
what
kinda
it is
funny,
trained
dude.
on has consequences
That's
for
kinda funny,
essentially the
dude.
biases of the system. We could talk about that in technical terms. But how these systems might lead people about depends very heavily on what data is trained on them. And so we need transparency about that, and we probably need scientists in there
83
doing
mil.
analysis
Okay,
in
never
order
mind.
to understand what the political influences of, for example, of these systems
I
might
should
be.
have got
And
it when
it's
it
not just
came
about
out. I probably
politics.
could have got it for like a
It
couple
can be
mil.
about health. It could be about anything.
All right, we're
These systems
going.
absorb a lot of data, and then what they say reflects
I
that data.
think we
And
use this
they're
to
going to
get
do it
there.
differently depending on what's in that data. So it makes a difference if they're trained on the Wall Street Journal as opposed to the New York Times or Reddit. I mean, actually, they're largely trained on all of this stuff, but we don't really understand the composition of that. And so we have this issue of potential manipulation, and it's even more complex than that because it's subtle manipulation.
Is it this way?
People may not be aware of what's going on. That was the point of both the Wall Street Journal article and the other article that I called your attention to.
Yeah.
Let me
I
ask
think
you
it's this way.
about AI
I'm
systems
gonna
trained
learn
on
this
personal
boss
data.
as well, dude.
The
I
kind
kind
of
of want to
data
do this boss
that, for
eventually.
instance, the social media
I'm
companies,
pretty
the
sure
major
it's this way, though.
platforms, Google, Meta, etc., collect on
Hopefully
all of
we
us
don't need to
routinely.
kill
We've
anything
had
for
many a
this.
chat about this in this committee
I don't think we
over
do.
many a year now, but the massive amounts of data, personal data, that the companies have on each one of us. An AI system that is trained on that individual data, that knows each of us better than ourselves, and also knows the billions of data points about human behavior, human language interaction generally, can't we foresee an AI system that is extraordinarily good
It's
at
teleporting
determining
something
what
to
will
my
grab
bank.
human attention and what will
Not
keep an
entirely
individual's
sure.
attention? And so
Where's a
for the
close
war
bank, though?
for attention, the war for clicks that is currently going
Is it the
on all
enriched
of these platforms
version or
trying to make
just the
their
normal
money,
version?
I'm just imagining an
Let me see
AI
real
system,
quick, dude.
these AI models supercharging that war
It
for
doesn't seem
attention,
to be
such that we
enhanced
now
versions. It's
have
just normal
technology that will
versions.
allow
Let
individual
me double
targeting of
check
a kind
for.
we
I
have
think it's
never
the
even
fungus that
imagined
we're getting
before,
from
where the AI
this.
will know exactly what Sam Altman finds
Fungal
attention
algae.
grabbing. We'll know exactly what Josh Hawley finds attention grabbing. We'll be able to grab our attention and then elicit responses from us in a way that we have heretofore not even been able to imagine. Should we be concerned about that for its corporate applications,
I
for
wonder what the
the
difference is
monetary
in
applications,
them
for the
two.
manipulation that could come from that?
Just
Mr.
like the XP or something?
Yes, we should be concerned about that. To be clear, OpenAI does not, we're not off, we don't have an ad-based business model, so we're not trying to build up these profiles of our users. We're not trying to get them to use it.
Oh, they are
more.
the
Actually,
same.
we'd love it if they use it less because we don't have enough GPUs. But I think other companies are already, and certainly will in the future, use AI models to create, very good ad predictions of what a user will like. I think that's already happening in many ways.
Mr. Marcus, anything you want to add?
Yes, and perhaps Ms. Montgomery will want to too as well. I don't know, but hyper targeting of advertising is definitely going to come. I agree that that's not been OpenAI's business model. Of course, now they're working with Microsoft, and I don't know what's in Microsoft's thoughts. But we will
kind of
definitely
already
see it.
been
Maybe
like
it will
that.
be with open source language models. I
Like
don't
now
know.
it'll be more, but
the technology there is,
already been
let's say,
seen
partway there to being able to do that, and we'll certainly get there.
So we're an enterprise technology company, not consumer focused, so the space isn't one that we necessarily operate in terms of, but these issues are hugely important issues. And it's why we've been out ahead in developing the technology that will help to ensure that you can do things like produce a fact sheet that has the ingredients of what your data is trained on. Data sheets, model cards, all those types of things, and calling for, as I've mentioned today, transparency. So you know what the algorithm was trained on. And then you also know and can manage and monitor continuously over the life cycle of an AI model, the behavior and the performance of that model.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I think what's happening today in this hearing room is historic. I can't recall when we've had people representing large corporations or private sector entities come before us and plead with us to regulate them. In fact, many people in the Senate base their careers on the opposite, that the economy will thrive if government gets the hell out of the way. And what I'm hearing instead today is that stop me before I innovate again message. And I'm just curious as to how we're going to achieve this. As I mentioned Section 230 in my opening remarks, we learned something there. We decided that in Section 230 that we were basically going to absolve the industry from liability for a period of time as it came into being. Well, Mr. Altman, on the podcast earlier this year, you agreed with host Kara Swisher that Section 230 doesn't apply to generative AI, and that developers like OpenAI should not be entitled to full immunity for harms caused by their products. So what have we learned from 230 that applies to your situation with AI?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I don't know yet exactly what the right answer here is. I'd love to collaborate with you to figure it out. I do think for a very new technology, we need a new framework. Certainly companies like ours bear a lot of responsibility for the tools that we put out in the world, but tool users do as well.
Boy back here got a
and
huge
how
noggin.
we want, and also people that will build on top of it between them and the end consumer. And how we want to come up with a liability framework there is a super important question, and we'd love to work together.
The point I want to make is this. When it came to online platforms, the inclination of the government was get out of the way. This is a new industry. Don't overregulate it. In fact, give them some breathing space and see what happens. I'm not sure I'm
You know
happy
what?
with
Did
the
they
outcome
fucking
as I look
stack,
at
bro? Could I
online
just like?
platforms
Me either.
and the
I don't
harms that
remember.
they've created. Problems that we've seen demonstrated
I would
in this
assume they
committee,
do.
child exploitation,
'Cause you need
cyberbullying,
500 to
online drug
make it,
sales,
right?
and more.
So you can do it noted.
I don't want to
Must be.
repeat
They
that
must be
mistake
stackable.
again. And what I hear is the opposite suggestion from the
This is the
private
enriched
sector.
version, which we
And that
don't
is come
need.
in on the front end of
Although,
this thing and establish
well,
some
it does sound kind
liability
of nice to get
standards,
the enriched
precision
version.
regulation.
But whatever, not a big
For
deal.
a major company like
I might do this
IBM to
later
come
as
before this
well. I
committee
think
and
this is going to
say
be some
to
good
the
money.
government, please regulate us. Could you explain the difference in thinking from the past and now?
It really wants me to get an enriched version.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, this comes back to the issue of trust and trust in the technology. Trust is our license to operate, as I mentioned in my remarks. And so we firmly believe, and we've been calling for precision regulation of artificial intelligence for years now. This is not a new position. We think that technology
It's like the same
needs to
thing
be
with
deployed
saving
in
the
a
children, huh?
responsible and clear way.
And
That
government's
people, we've
always
taken
super late to do
principles
anything
around
useful.
that, trust and transparency, we call them, are principles that were articulated years ago, and build them into practices.
Nice, dude.
That's why
Plus
we're
we
here
get the elder
advocating
troves,
for
dude. This is actually
precision
kind of
regulatory
fire.
approach. So we think that AI should be regulated at the point of risk, essentially, and that's the point at which technology meets society.
Let's take a look at what that might appear to be. Members of Congress are a pretty smart lot of people, maybe not as smart as we think we are many times. And government certainly has a capacity to do amazing things. But when you talk about our ability to respond to the current challenge and perceived challenge of the future, challenges which you all have described in terms which are hard to forget. As you said, Mr. Altman, things can go quite wrong. As you said, Mr. Marcus, democracy is threatened. I mean, the magnitude of the challenge you're giving us is substantial. I'm not sure that we respond quickly and with enough expertise to deal with it. Professor Marcus, you made a reference to CERN, the International Arbiter of Nuclear Research, I suppose. I don't know if that's a fair characterization, but it's a characterization I'll start with. What is it, what agency of this government do you think exists that could respond to the challenge that you've laid down today?
We have many agencies that can respond in some ways. For example, the FTC, the FCC. There are many agencies that can, but my view is that we probably need a cabinet level organization within the United States in order to address this.
3.6K
and my
apiece.
reasoning
Holy
for
shit.
that is that the number of risks is large. The amount of information to keep up on is so much. I think we need a lot of technical expertise. I think we need a lot of coordination of these efforts. So there is one model here where we stick to only existing law and try to shape all of what we need to do, and each agency does their own thing. But I think that AI is going to be such a large part of our future and is so complicated and moving so fast.
It's kind of already a
This
large
does
part
not
of us
fully solve
as
your
we are.
problem about
Yeah,
a
it'll be
dynamic
huge in the
world.
future.
But it's a step in that
Integrated
direction.
into
Having an
everything,
agency
dude.
that's full-time job is to do this.
It's
I
super
personally
useful.
have suggested, in fact, that we should want to do this at a global way. I wrote an article in The Economist. I have a link in here, an invited essay for The Economist, suggesting we might want an international agency for AI.
That's what I wanted to go to next, and that is the fact that I'll get aside from the CERN and nuclear examples, because government was involved in that from day one, at least in the United States. But now we're dealing with innovation, which
But I don't really know what you're going to regulate here, or how you're going to regulate it either.
Great U.S. agency, and I hope that we do,
To
that
be
may have
completely
jurisdiction
honest, dude.
over U.S. corporations and U.S. activity, but doesn't have a thing to do with what's going to bombard us from outside the United States. How do you give this international authority the authority to regulate in a fair way for all entities involved in AI?
I think that's probably over my pay grade. I would like to see it happen, and I think it may be inevitable that we push there. I mean, I think the politics behind it are obviously complicated. I'm really heartened by the degree to which this room is bipartisan and supporting the same things, and that makes me feel like it might be possible. I would like to see the United States take leadership in such organization. It has to involve the whole world and not just the U.S. to work properly. I think even from the perspective
Nah.
of the companies, it would be a good thing. So the companies themselves do not want a situation where you take these models, which are expensive
China
to
ain't gonna
train,
go for that,
and you have to
dude.
have
Sorry to tell
190
you.
some of them, one for every country. That wouldn't be a good way of operating. When you think about the energy costs alone, just for training these systems, it would not be a good model if every country has its own policies, and for each jurisdiction, every company has to train another model. And maybe, different states are different. So Missouri and California have different rules. And so
I agree
that
with that
requires
one.
even more training of these
Like,
expensive
should be
models with huge
blanket,
climate
but I feel
impact.
like that should work with a lot of different
And
laws as
it would be
well.
very
That's
difficult
kind
for the
of what's
companies to
problematic
operate if
here.
there was no
But
global
I guess they do
coordination. And
for the
so
most part.
I
It's just
think
like,
that we might get the companies on
I guess
board
smaller
if there's
things
bipartisan
that are
support
different
here,
between
and I think
states, like
there's
murder, obviously
support around
illegal
the world,
everywhere.
that is entirely possible
But
that we could develop such a thing. But obviously there are many nuances here of diplomacy that are over my pay grade. I would love to learn from you all to try to help make that happen.
Mr. Altman,
Can I weigh in just briefly?
briefly, please.
I want to echo support for what Mr. Marcus said. I think the U.S. should lead here and do things first, but to be effective, we do need something global. As you mentioned, this can happen everywhere. There is precedent. I know it sounds naive to call for something like this, and it sounds really hard. There is precedent. We've done it before with the IAEA. We've talked about doing it for other technologies. Given what it takes to make these models, the chip supply chain, the sort of limited number of competitive GPUs, the power the US has over these companies, I think there are paths to the US setting some international standards that other countries would need to collaborate with and be part of that are actually workable, even though it sounds on its face like a impractical idea. And I think it would be great for the world.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it'd be
Thanks,
great for the
Senator
world.
Durbin.
There's a
In
lot of
fact,
great things
I
for the
think we're
world
going to
that we
hear more
love
about
to
what
do, dude. That
Europe
kind
is
of
doing. The European Parliament already is acting on
made
an
impossible.
AI Act. On social media, Europe is ahead of us.
Impractical.
We need to be
Really?
in the lead. I think your point is very well taken. Let me turn to Senator Graham. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here with us today. I put into my ChatGPT account, should Congress regulate AI ChatGPT, and it gave me 4 pros, 4 cons, and says ultimately the decision rests with Congress and deserves careful consideration. So on
Seems
that,
reasonable.
it was
Yeah.
very balanced. I recently visited with the Nashville Technology Council. I represent
Just
them.
let
And,
ChatGPT
of
run the
course, you had
world, dude.
people
I
there
mean, I
from
don't understand
healthcare,
what
financial services,
we're worried about here.
logistics, educational entities, and
It
they
seemed
are
like that option
concerned
was
about what
really
they
good.
see happening with AI, with the utilizations for their companies.
The
Ms.
response it gave
Montgomery,
her.
similar to you, they've got healthcare people are looking at disease analytics. They are looking at predictive diagnosis, how this can better the outcomes for patients. Logistics industry looking at ways to save time and money and yield efficiencies. You've got
All right, I gotta go get
financial
something to drink, guys.
services
I'll be right
that are
back. You
saying,
guys
how does
can
this work with
continue
quantum?
watching
How does
this
it work with blockchain?
briefing on
How can
ChatGPT
we
regulations.
use this? But I think as we have talked with them, Mr.
What a
Chairman, one of the things
great
that continues
response,
to come
though.
up is, yes, Professor Marcus, as you were saying, the EU, different entities are ahead of us in this, but we have never established a federally given preemption for online privacy, for data security, and put some of those foundational elements in place, which is something that we need to do as we look at this. And it will require that Commerce Committee, Judiciary Committee decide how we move forward so that people own their virtual you. And Mr. Altman, I was glad to see last week that your OpenAI models are not going to be trained using consumer data. I think that that is important, and if we have a second round, I've got a host of questions for you on data security and privacy. But I think it's important to let people control their virtual you, their information in these settings. And I want to come to you on music and content creation, because we've got a lot of songwriters and artists and a I think we have the best creative community on the face of the earth there in Tennessee. And they should be able to decide if their copyrighted songs and images are going to be used to train these models. And I'm concerned about OpenAI's
What did I
jukebox.
miss?
It offers some re-renditions in the style of Garth Brooks, which suggests that OpenAI is trained on Garth Brooks songs. I went in this weekend and I said, write me a song that sounds like Garth Brooks. And it gave me a different version of Simple Man. So
Really?
it's interesting that it would do that, but you're training it on these copyrighted songs, these MIDI files, these sound technologies. So as you do this, who owns the rights to that AI generated material? And using your technology, could I remake a song, insert content from my favorite artist, and then own the creative rights to that song?
Thank you, Senator. This is an area of great interest to us.
The
I would
gray
say,
area.
first of all,
That's
we
what it
think that
sounds like.
creators deserve control over how their creations are used. And
Hold on one second.
what
Let me pause this before he gives his response, because I'll probably agree with most of what he says. This is a super gray area, but you know what? In my opinion, to be honest, considering we're gonna need funding for this oversight committee and the progression of ChatGPT as a whole, right? Perhaps we should just have it where anybody using this type of stuff that they use for ChatGPT that it makes, perhaps you have to like they get a royalty on whatever it is, right? A 1% royalty, like something's cheap, right? Simple, 1% royalty on whatever is made off of that in a commercial setting. And that way we can kind of fund that stuff without having to rob taxpayers even more, right? I feel like everyone it's great to like want to do oversight committees and like make all these laws and like create all these jobs, right? But like who's paying for all this shit, right? The people are paying for this. Taxpayers are paying for this stuff. So if we could think of ways that could like help lessen the burden on that, I think would be fantastic. This is a little ridiculous. Like, dude, like a simple royalty, even 5%, right? You wanted to go up that much, but I figured a 1% royalty, it kind of mitigates a lot of the costs that probably it takes to run ChatGPT, right? You have to think about it, like this shit is like they're paying for servers to run this, right? There's got to be some kind of database, like a whole bunch of computers in a room, servers in a room, right? Freaking a whole bunch of hard drives stacked on top of each other. You know, you've seen freaking movies, right? TV, these rooms and stuff. Like, there's got to be, it's got to cost a decent amount of money to run this stuff and keep it functioning. I could be wrong. Or they have an alien somewhere that they just plugged in, and all this stuff's coming from just an alien that they plugged into to the internet. I don't fucking know, okay? I mean, I'm assuming it's just like basically another supercomputer that they created, like the old school ones. And it's just like a room full of this and like a high-tech version of it, right? It's like running all these permutations and like examples, and it's just like, you know, it like goes down the line, right? And just branches out and just takes different options and just does it super fast. So I don't fucking know. Yeah, I'm definitely way out of my wheelhouse with this stuff, but I mean, the copyright problem. I mean, because AI art is already a thing, right? And I don't think there's any copyright. I don't think there's any copyright laws on the book for the AI art. I think you can own it and use it freely and make money off of it. I don't think you have to pay anybody to use the AI art. I mean, you might have to pay for the services of the AI to create a whole bunch of permutations of like of whatever you're looking for, right? A whole bunch of different versions of it, but there's definitely free ones out there already on the market. I don't know. Let's see how many of these we have. I should probably have like I don't know. Should I put on like fishing gear and stuff for this? 333. God damn. Should I throw on my fishing gear and stuff? Will this help at all? I don't know. 10% boost to catch additional fish. I mean, they're not fish though. I don't fucking know. That's a good fucking question, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. I'm gonna put this on. We might as well go decked out because we're gonna telly back here in a little bit too. Fishing rod o-matic. I need to actually change what the fishing rod boost gives me, the bonus for it. So, to be 100% honest, I don't think that dog is a cunt, dude. I don't think this is the right perk that I'm supposed to have on this. The wise. I mean, I guess going for 120, I probably should get an extra 50%, 50,000 XP per day, right? But it's probably not what I need to put on it. I probably need to do some different perks on this deal that are gathering perks, which actually, since we're here, let me go ahead and look at what I should roll on this thing. This isn't what this dude's response is. Damn it. I gotta rotate to this.
Sort of beyond the point of them releasing it into the world. Second, I think that we need to figure out new ways with this new technology that creators can win, succeed, have a vibrant life, and I'm optimistic that this will present it.
Then let me ask you this: how do you compensate the artist?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
We're working with artists now, visual artists, musicians, to figure out what people want. There's a lot of different opinions, unfortunately, and at some point we'll have to.
Let me ask you this: do you favor something like Sound Exchange that has worked in the area of radio?
I'm not familiar with Sound Exchange, I'm sorry.
Streaming. Okay, you've got your team behind you. Get back to me on
I kind of think it's crazy that you get to
Okay.
So let's discuss that. Let me move on. Can you commit, as you've done with consumer data, not to train ChatGPT, OpenAI, Jukebox, or other AI
I clicked on the wrong thing, didn't I? This is PVM.
Copyrighted works,
almost skilling
or
perks.
use their voices and their likenesses without first receiving their consent?
So first of all, Jukebox is not a product we offer. That was a research release, but it's not, unlike ChatGPT or DALL-E.
Yeah, but we've lived through Napster.
Yes.
That was something that really cost a lot of artists a lot of money.
Oh, I can make an enhanced fishing automatic.
Distribution era.
I don't know the numbers on Jukebox on the top of my head as a research release. I can follow up with your office, but it's not. Jukebox is not something that gets much attention or usage.
I'm supposed to be having Hone 6 on here.
Possible.
Well, Senator Durbin just said, and I think it's a fair warning to you all. If we're not involved in this from the get-go, and you all already are a long way down the path on this, but if we don't step in, then this gets away from you. So are you working with a copyright office? Are you considering protections for content
with like Fortune 3, MSOL 3
creators in generative AI?
Yes, we are absolutely engaged on that. Again, to reiterate my earlier point, we think that content creators, content owners need to benefit from this technology. Exactly what the economic model is, we're still talking to artists and content owners about what they want. I think there's a lot of ways this can happen, but very clearly, no matter what the law is, the right thing to do is to make sure people get significant upside benefit from this new technology. And we believe that it's really going to deliver that, but that content owners, likenesses, people totally deserve control over how that's used and to benefit from it.
Okay, so on privacy then, how do you plan to account for the collection of voice and other user-specific
Hone 6,
data,
Prosper, Fortune 3, and MSOL.
User-specific data through your AI applications, because
Let's see what
I
this is
can
going to
go
cost
in
me
and
real
say,
quick.
write me a song that sounds like Garth Brooks, and it takes part of an existing song. There has to be a compensation to that artist for that utilization. and
Does
that
there
use. If
though?
it
They
was
put
radio play,
words
it
in an
would be there. If
order.
it was streaming,
It's probably been
it
done
would
a
be
million
there.
times
So
and added a
if
beat to it.
you're going to do
Is
that,
that
what
is
is
that
your
really
policy for making
how you
certain
make
you're
money off of
accounting
it?
for
You know,
that
like I don't
and you're
know.
protecting that individual's right to
What's in the middle
privacy
there?
and their
Third age
right to
component. Oh my
secure
god.
that data and that created work?
I don't know if I'm gonna be able
So,
to do
a few
that, but I
thoughts
can
about
definitely
this.
do the Home
Number
5 or
one, we think that
6.
people should be able to say, I
Fortunate
don't want my
one.
personal data trained on. I think that's
Right, that gets to a national privacy law, which many of us here on the dais are working toward getting something that we can use.
yeah, I think strong
And
privacy.
my time's expired. Let
Okay.
me yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Senator Blackburn, I love Nashville, love Tennessee, love your music, but I will
Come on
say
down.
I used ChatGPT and just asked what are the top creative song artists of all time, and 2 of the top 3 were from Minnesota. That would be Prince and
I'm sure they moved
Prince
to
and
Nashville
Bob
at
Dylan.
some point.
Okay, all right. So let us
One
continue
One
on.
thing AI won't change, and you're seeing it here.
All right.
Fortune
So
3
on
and
a more
prosper
serious
with
note,
Phone
though,
5 and 6,
my
I think
staff
is what
and
I do.
in my role as chair of the Rules Committee and leading a lot of the election bill, and we just introduced a bill that's Representative Yvette Clarke from New York introduced over the House. Senator Booker and Bennett and I did on political advertisements. But that is just, of course, the tip of the iceberg. You know this from your discussions with
shit.
Senator Hawley and others about the
I
images.
guess I don't
and
have
my
the
own
material. Though.
Senator Graham's of Section 230 is that we just can't let people make stuff up and then not have any consequence. But I'm going to focus in on what one of my jobs will be on the Rules Committee, and that is election misinformation. And we just asked ChatGPT to do a tweet about a polling location in Bloomington, Minnesota, and said there are long lines at this polling location at Atonement Lutheran Church. Where should we go? Now, albeit it's not an
Silent
election
component.
right now, but the answer, the tweet that was drafted, was a completely fake thing. Go to 1234 Elm Street. And so you can imagine what I'm concerned about here with an election upon us, with primary elections upon us, that we're going to have all kinds of misinformation. And I just want to know what you're planning on doing about it. I know we're going to have to do something soon, not just for the images of the candidates, but also
Death lettuce
for
extract?
misinformation
Oh my God,
about
it's still
the
so
actual
expensive.
polling
Oh my
places
God.
and election rules.
It's so expensive.
Thank you, Senator. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Oh
We are
my
quite
God.
concerned about the impact this can have on elections. I think this is an area where hopefully the entire industry and the government can work together quickly. There's many approaches, and I'll talk about some of the things we do.
Death
But
lotus
before
darts,
that,
huh? Easy.
I think it's tempting to use the frame of social media. But this is not social media. This is different, and so the response that we need is different.
I can't even get them.
This is a tool that a user
No.
is using to help generate content more efficiently than before. They can change it. They can test the accuracy of it. If they don't like it, they can get another version. But it still then spreads through social media or other ways. Like ChatGPT is a single player experience where you're just using this. And so I think as we think about what to do, that's important to understand. There's a lot that we
that
can
insta-sold, Jesus
do there.
Christ.
There's things that the model refuses to generate. We have policies. We also importantly have monitoring. So at scale, we can detect someone generating a lot of those tweets, even if generating
Okay, we
one
got
tweet
6
is
out of that.
Yeah, and of course there's going to be other platforms, and if they're all spouting out fake election information, I think what happened in the past with Russian interference and the like, it's just going to be a tip of the iceberg when some of those fake ads. So that's number one. Number two is the impact on intellectual property, and Senator Blackburn was getting at some of this with song
Damn,
rights.
dude. I got screwed over
and
so hard with
I have
this. Hold
serious
up.
concerns about that. But
Okay.
news content. So Senator Kennedy and I have a bill that was really quite straightforward that would simply allowed the news organizations an exemption to be able to negotiate.
Now, I can do
with
this
basically
other one
Google
though.
and
Fortune
Facebook.
3 would prosper.
Microsoft was
Let's see.
supportive of the bill, but basically
I can do that one
negotiate
though right now, I think.
with them to
Yeah,
get
I
better
have
rates
plenty.
and be able to not have some leverage. And other countries are doing this, Australia and the like. And so my question is, when we already have a study by Northwestern predicting that 1/3 of the U.S. newspapers that roughly existed 2 decades are going to be gone by 2025, unless you start compensating for everything from movies, books, yes, but also news content, we're going to lose any realistic content producers. And so I'd like your response to that. And of course, there is an exemption for copyright in Section 230.
I don't
But
think
I
so,
think
but okay.
asking little newspapers to go out and sue all the time just can't be the answer. They're not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, like it is my hope that tools like what we're creating can help news organizations do better. I think having a vibrant national media
I don't know if
is
I
critically
agree with
important.
this. Like, I feel like people
let's call it round
having
one of
the
the internet
freedom
has
to
not been
like
great for that.
Right. We're talking here about local, that, report on your high school
make
football
more
scores and a
stuff.
scandal in your city council, those
Like
kinds
crazy.
of things.
For sure.
They're the ones that are actually getting the worst, the little radio stations and broadcast. But do you understand that this could be exponentially worse in terms of local news content if they're not compensated?
Well,
because what they need is to be compensated for their content and not have it stolen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's
again,
no way I can
our
buy
model,
that 42 mil. Jesus
the current
Christ.
version of GPT-4 ended training in 2021. It's not a good way to find recent news, and I don't think it's a service that can do a great job of linking out. Although maybe with our plugins, it's possible. If there are things that we can do to help local news, we would certainly like to. Again, I think it's critically important.
Okay. One last.
May I add something there?
Yeah, but let me just ask you a question. You can combine them quick. More transparency on the platforms. Senator Coons and Senator Cassidy and I have the Platform Accountability Transparency Act to give researchers access to this information of the algorithms and the like on social media data. Would that be helpful? And then why don't you just say yes or no, and then go at his.
Transparency is absolutely critical here to understand the political ramifications, the bias ramifications, and so forth. We need transparency about the data. We need to know more about how the models work. We need to have scientists have access to them. I was just going to amplify your earlier point about local news. A lot
So
of
you know
news
what?
is
I might have
generated
fucked up by
these
doing
systems.
the
They're
other
not
one
reliable.
first.
NewsGuard already has a study.
I should have waited and
not in my
removed
appendix,
stuff, huh?
but I will get it to your office,
Now that
showing
I'm
that
thinking
something
about
like
this.
50 websites are already generated by bots. We're going to see much more of that, and it's going to make it even more competitive for the local news organizations. And so the quality of the sort of overall news market is going to decline as we have more generated content by systems that aren't actually reliable in the content they're generated.
Thank you, and thank you on a very timely basis to make the argument why we have to mark up this bill again in June. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Senator Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Hawley for having this. I'm trying to find out how it is different than social media and learn from the mistakes we made with social media. The idea of not suing social media companies is to allow the internet to flourish, because if I slander you, you can sue me. If you're a billboard company and you put up the slander, can you sue the billboard company? We said no. Basically, Section 230 is being used by social media companies to avoid liability for activity that other people generate. When they refuse to comply with their terms of use, a mother calls up the company and says, "This app is being used to bully my child to death. You promised in the terms of use you would prevent bullying." And she calls 3 times, she gets no response, the child kills herself, and they can't sue. Do you all agree we don't want to do that again?
Yes.
If I may speak for 1 second, there's a fundamental distinction
You can only
between
remove one, right?
reproducing content and generating content.
Yeah, but you would like liability where people are harmed.
Absolutely.
Yes, in fact,
Okay,
IBM
cool.
has
It only
been
asked me to remove
publicly
one of them.
advocating to condition liability on a reasonable care standard.
So let me just make sure I understand the law as it exists today. Mr. Altman, thank you for coming. Your company is not claiming that Section 230 applies to the tool you have created.
Yeah, we're claiming we need to work together to find a totally
just
new
friggin'
approach. I don't
be
think
worth the
Section
damn price
230
that's put
is
on there, dude. That shit is
even
so
the right
fucking old.
framework.
Okay, so under the law it exists today, this tool you create, if I'm harmed by it, can I sue you?
that is beyond my area of legal
Have you ever
expertise.
been sued?
Not for that.
Let me see if these are
Have you ever been
stackable as
sued
well,
at
real
all?
quick.
Your company?
Yeah, OpenAI gets sued.
Huh?
Yeah, we've gotten sued
So
before.
yeah, we get sued all the time.
And
What are you
what
talking
for?
about? It's not stackable.
I mean, they've mostly been like
Shit.
pretty frivolous things, like I think happens to any company.
But like the examples my colleagues have given from artificial intelligence that could literally ruin our lives, can we go to the company that created that tool and sue them? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, I think there needs to be clear responsibility by the companies.
But you're not claiming any kind of legal protection like Section 230 applies to your industry. Is that correct?
No, I don't think we're I don't think we're saying anything like
Mr.
that.
Marcus, when it comes to consumers, there seems to be like 3 time-tested ways to protect consumers against any product. Statutory schemes, which are non-existent here. Legal systems, which may be here but not social media, and agencies. Go back to Senator Hawley. The atom bomb has put a cloud over humanity, but nuclear power could be one of the solutions to climate change. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that you just can't go build a nuclear power plant. Hey, Bob, what would you like to do today? Let's go build a nuclear power plant. You have a Nuclear Regulatory Commission that governs how you build a plant and is licensed. Do you agree, Mr. Alderman, that these tools you're creating should be licensed?
Yeah, we've been calling for this. We think any...
That's the simplest way. You get a license, and do you agree with me that the simplest way
And it makes
and the
sense.
most effective way is have an agency that is more nimble and smarter than Congress, which should be easy to create? Overlooking
Yeah,
what you do.
especially in terms of technology, right?
Do you agree with that, Mr. Marcus?
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that, Ms. Montgomery?
I would have some nuances. I think we need to build on what we have in place already today.
We don't have an agency.
Regulators.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done reacting to this stuff. We still, it still has like over another hour of this. Okay, where they go back and forth about this stuff. I mean, we can watch a full one later on, maybe. But like right now, I'm kind of over the whole AI. Them going back and forth with AI. It's kind of sleepy, to be honest.
I know all about OPSEC, so I'm not going to be blowing anybody out. Find a discreet way to get a hold of me, and Colonel, you're getting a POB today. Boy, the world sure seems to be going through a spat of bad news, doesn't it? Russia, Ukraine, the president's going downhill and not even falling upstairs anymore, just tripping over nothing in front of a whole bunch of airmen that he's leading as the commander-in-chief. But not everything is going to be all bad. In fact, we're here to celebrate one driven Marine who single-handedly investigated and busted a human trafficking ring. Dope, people, violent gang MS-13. This story's got it all. Our story starts in Alexandria, Virginia. It's D.C. It's right across the river from D.C. Wow. Human trafficking, hookers blow in Washington, D.C., the capital, where all the politicians are. Color me surprised. Anyway, Alexandria, Virginia, where a group of reserve Marines are training on their drill weekend. In fact, the next morning it's going to be a PT test, and boy, you know you need your shut-eye for that. Everybody's stressing out, and the fatties are biting their nails, worried about the run. But not one, dare I say, handsome lieutenant colonel. Now, his name is out of this because there's an ongoing investigation, so we're just going to call him Colonel. Rah. Well, he's walking around the hotel about to get into his room, get some shut-eye, get ready for that PT test, and he sees a young lady with 13 tattooed on her wearing white and blue. Most people would go and pass by some random people in the hotel and not give two shits whether or not they're a man, a woman, something in between, or they've got tattoos on their face. But this lieutenant colonel happens to be involved in law enforcement in his civilian career and still wants to serve his country in the Marine Corps, so he's in the reserves. But he sees
a lot of people don't
the tattoo of 13 and the white and blue and goes,
this kind of stuff.
Well, that's a trademark
that's
for the violent gang MS-13. He starts paying a little bit more attention while keeping his cool and not trying to blow up his spot.
Right.
And notice that she's pacing and walking around. That there's also a dude outside just circling around on a bicycle. And it clicks. This young lady's being human trafficked. They're about to move to another location. Now here comes the moral conundrum on a larger scale in this scenario that everybody seems to be having nowadays. Do I do something, or do I just say, it's none of my business?
Not my problem.
Well, good people like to do something.
You could also call
and that's
the
what this
cops,
Marine did. He did a stakeout. He just did a stake. Just walking around, just making sure everything's cool. And the second that a van comes to pick up the young female with the MS-13 tattoos and garb on, along with her handler, he quickly runs over to his POV, jumps in it, and follows them. Now he probably doesn't go bumper to bumper and make it super obvious, making every turn with them. But I'm sure he used some fantastic law enforcement skills and driving methods in order to not be spotted as a tail, driving a little ways away. They come to a fairly ritzy condominium, and
right?
things are off. If you got a bunch of money, you're probably not wearing dirty clothes and shitty shoes, looking like a rag doll, and then going into your $1 million condominium.
Decided to do
Colonel
it, but
pulls out his phone, calls up
like
some
a
local
normal
law
civilian,
enforcement, and says,
right?
"Hey,
Like,
listen,
maybe you call
I'm
the
Popo
cops and
too."
so, you know,
and what
you
I've
need to be
noticed here
aware
is some human trafficking red
these types
flags.
of things.
So if you could just check and make sure this young lady is okay, a health and welfare check, I could just go back to doing my PT testing.
I think a lot of the
I know you'll probably
organizations
laugh at
like
me, but whatever, I'll
FBI,
take the chance. Boy, we're
and,
glad that you did there, Colonel.
Police
Because
agencies
local
do a
law
really
enforcement,
terrible
and I'm
job of,
assuming probably some task
they need to do
forces
more PSAs
involved in human
about this, like,
trafficking.
kind
I
of
know Homeland
information
Security
that
does it.
people
I know
need
the
to keep an eye out
FBI is
for,
involved in that
and
too.
to, like,
But
give them calls
regardless,
in about.
law enforcement agencies, along with this Lieutenant Colonel, go to the building.
Or can post to their Twitter or whatever,
knock
right?
on the
Like, I think
door.
they should have social
Hey, how
media
you doing?
deals
What's
where
going on?
people can
Oh
post
my
pictures
God,
and,
look
like,
at all
info
the
about
drugs
people
and
committing
guns
crimes
and
shit.
several women here that
Like,
are
it would
obviously
help the
being
response time
trafficked.
of the police
Lock
officers
them up.
greatly.
Despite what the movies show you, it takes a lot longer than like 3 minutes of just looking around at the obvious drugs on the top of a table and go, oh look, we've got the kilo of coke. We're out of here, boys. There are hours of properly searching every room and gritting it out, and then notating all the evidence, and then paperwork, and interviews, and now trying to identify these women, and then figuring out a safe place that they can be held so that the investigation can continue. And it is. This colonel hit the tip of the spear in this investigation, and I'm sure it's going deeper and into darker spots. And that's why this colonel's name has not been released to the public. But he has received an award already, a Naval Commendation Medal. That's right. He got the equivalent to an Army Commendation Medal, a Navy and Marine Commendation Medal, which is, well, that's one heck of an attaboy, let me tell you what. And well-deserved. How often have Marines or Army personnel been stuck in some boring PowerPoint class saying, look out for human trafficking, and just blow through it because they know they're never going to run into it? Well, if you keep your eyes open long enough, eventually you'll see something. And this goes to show you. Not all the PowerPoint classes we get are bullshit. Not all of them. Some of them are bullshit. I'll meet you halfway. I know all about OPSEC, so I'm not going to be blowing anybody out, throwing them under the bus, too. I'm law enforcement as well. Find a discreet way to get a hold of me, and Colonel, you're getting a POB today. Because of your fantastic actions in busting open an MS-13 drug and human trafficking hub in the D.C. area.
That's pretty awesome.
I award you the coveted POB. Good job. Good job. Good job. If you know somebody that's done some fantastic thing that deserves recognition, send me them stories. The internet isn't all bitching about politics and negativity. Sometimes we can hold up the fantastic veterans and military members so the rest of the world can see how great we are. And if you know somebody that deserves the coveted POB award, go ahead and check out the site angry-cops.com. Get them a sticker or a shirt. Let them know that they did a good job and award them.
To keep an eye out for, and like more of a.
See you next time, weirdos.
Like I said, like a way like Twitter or something like that, where
and
you
when's
could
the last
post
time you
like
shared a video,
pictures,
a
because
GIF,
like everyone's
or a meme
carrying
with your
around
battle buddy?
like cameras on
How
them,
much you got on
right?
that?
Like if you see
Share with the
something,
battle buddy.
you know, fucking let some people know, you know.
To celebrate one.
Perhaps we could help out on a lot of shit there.
One
That's
cum.
crazy.
We're here to celebrate one cum. Fuck, I know that's going at the end.
Yep. He's clearly a military man. The way he talks.
American history happening
Got him.
right now.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
The indictment unsealed against former President Donald Trump.
I'm innocent, and
Yo,
we
the
will prove
music
that
is hype.
very, very soundly, and hopefully very quickly.
Boxes and boxes.
Damn it, they should have dropped the beat right there and done like Should have been like a Halo intro, bro. Like just hardcore fucking music at once it transitioned. There, it was such dramatic music for what just happened. Damn it, we got another one. The Great Beast. I don't know what these are just for lore, right? I'm pretty sure these are just for lore. I don't think I actually need to keep them. If I could hand them in for something, that'd be kind of cool.
Stored at Mar-a-Lago in the bathroom, shower,
Or like combine them for an item would be cool, or a bonus.
Secrets about the
like a
military
buff.
and nuclear program.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical for the safety and security of the United States.
The former president will be surrendering right here.
We very much look forward to presenting our case to a jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida.
Tonight, team coverage of the indictment of Donald Trump.
Well, he's gonna get off if he's charged in Florida.
Tonight,
Wait
the
a
former
minute.
president faces 37
They
counts
love
after
him
the
down there.
investigation into his handling of classified documents.
If the case ends up
Wait a
going
minute.
to trial, it will happen right here in South Florida. And
Is
we
it
have
going to
live coverage
trial?
For you. Local 10's Alex Finney
I
has
don't even know the
heightened
information
security
on
ahead
this,
of
dude, to
Trump's
be
court
honest.
appearance on Tuesday.
But we begin with Andrew Perez and the indictment, which was unsealed today.
I kind of figured that they all kind of took their work home with them because they're always traveling, right? Like I figured it'd be like on the airplane. There's probably documents on the airplane, Air Force One or whatever. They got documents at the White House, if they even stay at the White House. I know a lot of them like kind of only travel to the White House and they stay at like a different location, right? And like, so I figured they probably would have documents just fucking everywhere, dude. But I thought, you know, my my overconfidence in them, I figured it would be kind of hard to get to them, right? Because they got Secret Service around them. There's probably like, you know, good security in these places and stuff, right? But then then you really hear about all the stuff that's going on with like Biden, all the paperwork he's freaking got, all the files he's got. Trump got files, dude. What was that other guy? Pence got files. Everybody got files, okay? Everybody has apparently secret documents. Everybody's got them, okay? Everybody. I don't know how the regulatory system works on that.
Today in this indictment,
And you
prosecutors are
take
basically
the
saying
copier
the
out of
former
that place
president
or something.
allegedly not only
Everybody's got them
had these
documents.
really sensitive documents, but went out of his way to try and hide them, even involving a former aide.
I'm innocent, and we will
Really?
prove
What?
that very, very soundly.
Former President Donald Trump insisting he's innocent. A landmark decision from the federal grand jury voting to indict him for his alleged mishandling of classified.
Yo, I kind of hate the news channels here in America. Yo, if you want to check out like a decent news channel, I recommend Sky News, dude. Sky News Australia. They actually do a pretty good job. Which is sad as fuck, dude. I feel like they're a lot more bipartisan, right? Because they're fucking Australians. They don't give a fuck. And they actually report a lot more on the facts.
You're the
and stuff.
president of the United States. You can
Actually pretty good.
declassify just by saying it's declassified.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Special counsel Jack Smith revealing details
Okay.
of the indictment that
Blowing
include
smoke up my
several
ass,
photos
right.
of boxes belonging to
They
Donald
have
Trump.
laws in this
They
country
lined
and
a
they apply
ballroom
to
stage,
everyone.
were lined up in
Yeah,
storage room,
it's not
even
exactly
stacked
true.
in a club
Yeah.
bathroom.
We all know it's not
Prosecutors
exactly
claiming
true. We've
Trump
seen it.
shared some documents containing military maps and Pentagon plans.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical for the safety and security of the United States.
I mean, I would
and they must
agree if everyone
be
just
enforced.
wasn't able to like
Sources
walk
telling
off with
ABC
these
News
damn files.
prosecutors have a
Apparently,
2021
nobody's
Trump
checking
audio
these people's
recording where
bags.
he
There's no
allegedly
security.
admits to taking classified records after leaving the White House. Trump allegedly heard saying, quote, "As president, I could have declassified, but now I can't." The former president and the National Archives were locked into a months-long
Why didn't
battle
you
back
give
and
him back?
forth, debating whether or not he returned all
Why'd you
government
burn
records
them?
as required. It got to the point that a federal judge authorized that FBI search of his home in Mar-a-Lago, which quickly turned up more than 100 classified documents.
I kind of want to know what was in the documents. They should have been declassified. If they weren't like super like detrimental, right? Like if they weren't like military plans or some shit, I kind of wish they were declassified so we could see what the fuck he was actually taking. Like if it was just some bullshit, right? Like what he was eating or some shit, right? Or like just some stupid thing that's classified because for like just a safety kind of reason, you know? Like that's not like super important, right? Like where he like ordered food from or some shit, you know, to like keep the president safe. Like what's their favorite like restaurant or some kind of shit like that, right? Like that they order from all the time at the White House, or like I don't freaking know, you know, just like dumb stuff like that. I would really like to know what was actually
Even
in
after
these
Trump's attorneys
files.
said all of them were returned.
They come after me because now we're leading in the polls.
The whole country knows the basic notion of unequal treatment and fairness.
Then this twist, hours after appearing on Good Morning America, 2 of Trump's attorneys quit. Not only from this
So I'm gonna
case,
be
but
ending
the
the
pending
stream
January
here
6th
soonish,
investigation as well.
guys.
Florida
We've been at
federal
another
judge
3
Eileen
hours, so that's
Cannon
6
is
hours
expected to
straight.
preside over this
3 hours
case.
on Twitch,
She was
3 hours
appointed
on
by
YouTube.
Trump back in 2020 and granted him a special
I'm kind of getting
master
hungry.
to
I'm gonna go get
independently
food.
review the records seized at Mar-a-Lago.
So we're gonna
The former
finish up this
president,
video and
meanwhile,
stuff.
taking in some
Maybe
rounds
one
of
more
golf
after this, and then
spotted in New
get
Jersey
some
with
food,
U.S. Rep
dude.
Carlos Jimenez, who tweeted out
I guess
this
I should
photo.
tell you back real quick, actually. Let me see, and then I'll
So
run
as
back.
I mentioned
I'm
off the
pretty
top,
sure I have
also
over
named in the
500 though.
indictment is a former presidential aide to Trump who remained an employee after Trump left office, accused
Yeah,
of
567,
deliberately hiding some of those
beautiful. And we have a
documents
whole bunch
right
of
before
these to
authorities
open.
arrived.
Let's open
In
these
these
while we're
boxes,
still
there
on
was also
stream.
information regarding defense and weapons capabilities of both the U.S. and foreign countries' plans for retaliation in response to a
Bro.
foreign attack. There is a lot of information
I feel like
in
that's
there,
a lot
and
of
we
money.
have that entire document up on our website right now.
13
The indictment,
mil.
local10.com.
What?
That's latest here in downtown
Yo.
Miami. I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
Yo.
One of the things that I'm actually attempting to
5.9 mil a
monitor
pop,
on
bro.
this channel is the potential increase for labeling certain criminal suspects
13,
mentally
dude,
ill,
what?
thus mentally unfit for
13
trial,
mil for
thus
that,
the
and
perception
then-
from the population
How
that
much are
they're
these worth?
escaping
A couple
consequences.
hundred K
For
at least,
instance,
right?
there was a very famous video during the COVID-19
Another
pandemic
600K for
of
that?
a guy who was
Damn.
put into a nursing home in Michigan
That's
who
fire,
filmed
dude.
himself doing boxing training by punching an elderly man in the head.
864.
Now, you might remember this video, you might not. I
Jesus.
will link to a news article of this video in the description of this video. So
I
you
think
can
I
see
do
for
remember
yourself,
something
but
about that
for
video
obvious
going
reasons,
around,
I'm not
actually.
going to show it here. Well,
That
that
was a
guy
while ago.
actually ended up
Could
being
be
found
wrong.
mentally unfit for trial, which was wrongly reported
Really?
by people in the right-wing media as the charges just being dropped randomly, even though he was specifically confined to a facility for the mentally ill where he's not allowed to live. So I stated in
Okay,
that specific
yeah.
case, you know what? I'm fine with it. I'm actually okay with that guy who seems like he had a bunch of screws loose being confined to a psych ward rather than being put on trial and the whole argument related to that. However, we're also
Yeah.
seeing that even when certain people who are not mentally ill enough to be deemed unfit go to trial,
I think we need
a
500
trend
of all of them.
woke
This is
juries,
a
if you
woodcutting
want to
one.
call
Okay.
them that, deciding not
Let me
to
see.
convict on
think
obvious
it's 500
charges. And
of
a perfect
each.
example of this is the story we're going to talk about today, which is a San Bernardino sheriff's
Yep.
deputy who was attacked by a man. It's on video, and yet it appears that the jury just refused to convict. Now, there was actually some really good lawyering in this case with one particular charge, so I have to give credit where
I
credit
forgot.
is due. But
Oh,
as I break down
no.
this case, what was charged and what was
We have to go
ultimately not
back.
convicted, you'll realize that
I gotta
there
go
is
get my dragon
definitely
hatchet, dude.
something suspicious going on with certain juries in the United States of America. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored, so let me toss it for the ad read. Then
Might
I'm
as
going
well
to come back
clicked it,
over
huh?
here, and you
Okay.
want to stay tuned for what's
Grab
on the other
that.
side.
We're gonna
Before going
eventually
out
be
and
doing.
spending
Okay,
a ton
hold
of
on.
money on expensive anti-aging creams and or serums, what
We should put
you
this
should
on.
do
We should
is
put this
check out if
on.
collagen loss
We
is your problem,
should.
because adding collagen to your diet can improve your skin elasticity and that youthful glow better than almost anything on the market. This is one of the reasons why I am happy to be partnered with
Dude, I'm gonna buy a bond
where
and
you
we're
can
buying
try
more
our
freaking
top
bank space. I'm
formulation
so
of
tired
collagen
of
powder.
this.
You take it
It's
daily,
so
and you just
dumb.
notice the strengthening of your hair, your skin, and your nails. And if you go over to healthwithjustice.com for this month, you can get 53% off plus additional bonuses that are available to those who go to healthwithjustice.com. That's healthwithjustice.com, healthwithjustice.com.
It just feels a little
We're gonna get
sideways.
rid of all those too. We'll keep those.
Despite
Keep the
strong
ice
video evidence, a
cream.
jury acquitted a man accused of beating and shooting at a San Bernardino
Wow.
County Sheriff deputy back in
That's
2019.
crazy, dude.
Now, they opened this news segment by showing you some of the video in the background. Now, I'm going to have to redact huge portions of it due to the fact that YouTube will age restrict this video, then they'll suppress it. this video, but I've linked the
Keeps
entire
cutting out,
local news
unfortunately.
segment, which has these clips in the description of this video if you want to check them out. But for my podcast listeners, for all of you, I will say it is a video of the suspect beating the female deputy in question and what should be an open and shut, clear and obvious case that should prove him guilty.
A former San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy is shocked after a jury acquitted the man charged with her attempted murder.
Our Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has more on the defense's claim that she wasn't lawfully performing her duties prior to the attack.
At first glance, the video might seem crystal clear. A suspect punching a San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy several times, stealing her gun, and then firing as she runs away from him. However, a jury has found Ari Young not guilty of both attempted murder and assault with a firearm on a peace officer. The jury apparently didn't even have enough evidence to find him guilty of resisting arrest, battery on a peace officer, or even for removing the firearm. On those charges, the jury hung.
Now, I left in the portion of the video where this suspect was in fact firing the gun after the police officer, the sheriff's deputy, ended up fleeing the situation after he punched her in the face repeatedly and clearly and obviously on video assaulted her, because I think it's crucial for you guys to understand the angle that they had, how clear and obvious this was that this person did in fact do this, and hear all the charges that were either not guilty convictions or hear the charges that resulted in a hung jury, which clearly and obviously makes me think that something is wrong, something is dangerous, something is afoot here, because we have overwhelming evidence that this man he did commit the crime.
Wait, how did I
and
get
for them to
canned
not even
versions of
secure a
this?
conviction on him taking the firearm from the
Interesting.
officer, completely unacceptable in any circumstance related
Weird.
to this case, and then nothing. It's a hung jury.
What was your first reaction when you got that news?
Disbelief.
Megan
Let's sell
McCarthy
this
suffered
stuff
several
too.
injuries in the attack. It happened on September 4, 2019.
Can I sell
McCarthy
these?
responding to a 911 call about a domestic disturbance at a home in Victorville involving Ari Young, who experts say suffers from schizophrenia.
Now, I will give the caveat that some people looking at this case, some people looking at this video, could easily come to a different conclusion. For instance, if you're Rayshad Ritchie and you're looking at this case and you see a woman being beaten by a black man, you might think that this woman is in fact a Karen and thus deserved what she got.
Full background on this Karen. The Karenicity is unbelievable. Put up the picture. We got her
Jesus.
name, where she works, her boss.
And she should probably have her husband doxxed and her employer doxxed so that she can no longer have a job. That's probably where you are if you're Rayshad Ritchie. If you're Emma Vigeland, you might think that this woman was just fake crying, fake calling for help. This wasn't an urgent situation.
What was your first reaction when you got that news?
Disbelief.
But yeah, I mean, the white woman fake crying thing, I could do it too, but and then you just turn it off. But
It's convenient.
Just because somebody who's mentally disturbed beats the living crap out of you, takes your gun from you, and then fires it
Yeah,
at you as you
basically
flee
tries to
from them,
murder you.
doesn't mean that you should try to get this person arrested. Obviously, that was a man in crisis. Obviously, that was a man who needed help. And obviously, the woman should have learned some de-escalation training. She should have de-escalated as the fist was flying to her face and just taken the beating, because that's what good, kind, honorable people do in our society.
As I'm walking up to the front door of that house, I see the front door open, and out comes the male, the suspect, and he's followed by the woman, I'm assuming is the reporting party, and she has a knife in her hand. I walk around behind him and I put his hand to the small of his back, just tell him, relax, it's okay, what's going on, just to pat down his pockets for weapons, and that set him off and began the assault. I turn and I run,
Sure it did.
and I run for the nearest cover I can find, which happened to be a bush, and I hear a gunshot go off, and I knew he was shooting at me.
So the scenario goes like
Shooting
this.
your own
They call
gun
the police
at you,
because
dude.
they're schizophrenic relative, and again, it is a serious mental illness. It does have consequences, and all of that is running amok in the household. It's so bad that the woman who called 911 is actually wielding a knife because she believes that this person is a dangerous individual. And just like the prophecy foretold, it was fulfilled. And when this officer shows up to the scene and she tries to detain the suspect to question further, he completely goes goes off, starts beating her,
Yo.
starts viciously attacking her, obviously bruising her up. Then he takes her
Disgusting,
gun
bro.
to, again, just prove how dangerous he is, and fires upon her as she flees. And you can actually hear her calling for help. You can hear other people shouting, trying to get some kind of assistance. And it should be the most obvious case of somebody attacking a police officer. If you want to say, sure, fine, whatever, the guy was in a mental health crisis, then he should have been deemed unfit for trial and moved to a facility where he could be incarcerated for treatment. But that's not what happened. They said that this guy was sane enough for trial, and yet he was found not guilty.
That's when other deputies respond, shoot
Really?
the suspect, and take him into custody. A good portion of the incident caught on camera.
Now, the other deputies
I can't believe he
they do shoot
survived.
this person.
That's
Now, some
insane.
people, by the way, on the internet.com will label this the shooting of an unarmed black man in mental health crisis, because at the beginning of the interaction, he
You know what?
actually
These will
was
be useful
unarmed. I mean, he
for,
eventually
well,
armed himself with the cop's gun, but as we've been
never
told
mind.
time and
I'm gonna
time
sell
again,
them, actually.
that doesn't
I was gonna
count.
say I
That
could
doesn't
use
mean
them for my
anything. If you're
dinos, but
actively trying to arm yourself with
they're
the
kind
cop's
of
gun,
worth a
it
decent
probably
amount.
means that you don't mean any
16.22.
harm or anything like that.
I can sell them
Please
for like
ignore the
1,000 a
fact that he
pop.
was
It's
just
kind of worth
blindly
it.
firing. No big deal, even
Oh,
though
we
it's
got
caught
rid
on
of
video.
that.
So
We're
some people
super
would
poor right now,
automatically
guys. We spent a lot of money on
presume
that
that
stuff.
he's the victim in this scenario because the police dared shoot somebody who was holding a gun and firing
It's
it
okay.
wildly
I'm gonna
in a
AFK gather
neighborhood
this
after
stuff until
beating
I
up
have
a
enough
cop
for herb
and then
sack.
taking the gun from her. I mean,
I'll be
honestly,
okay.
had we checked on whether or not he was actually trying to feed his family? I mean, they called 911 on him. One member of his family appeared to be wielding a knife to defend herself against him, but for all we know, for all we can tell, this man was in crisis, but also trying to feed 4 starving children in his area, trying to feed his family. What a great guy. What a stunning and brave individual.
It does look bad when you look at it at first glance.
But defense attorney Raj Maleen says because of the location of the bush where the deputy said she
You
ran
look
to
at
get
it
away,
for first
he
glance.
argued that the suspect was not shooting at her.
We know exactly where she went, which was due south. And we know where he fired because there's a
Doesn't
bullet
matter
in the
where he
garage,
was
which shows
shooting.
He fired northeast, exactly in the direction he was walking, which is completely opposite of where she was.
So, by the way, even though I think that this case is absolutely ridiculous and absurd, the idea that this guy didn't get convicted of assault makes no sense at all. The idea that he didn't even get convicted of taking the officer's
woodcutting
gun,
is kind of a
absolute
pain.
insanity. A hung jury, you couldn't figure that one out. Obviously, that is incredibly dubious, but I will say, this point, I actually think is
We might
quite
have to
clever.
buy this one.
I think this is good lawyering, and as somebody
I think it's
who
gonna be
is
the
interested in the
slowest of
criminal
all of
justice
them.
system, and not
Why
just
is it so
because I want
slow?
the outcomes that I want, but when it's functioning properly, I gotta give credit where credit is due. That is an excellent defense that this person is just erratic. Essentially, he's making the argument
Woodcutting
that this
so
guy
needs
is
a
so
rework.
bad at attempted murder that you can't even call
That
it
fucking
attempted murder.
100
So I
woodcutting, dude.
actually
Come
do
on.
understand a well-argued point like that being able to convince a jury. That being said, the main issue that I have, the primary issue
Gotten
that
one
I
so
have,
far.
is the fact that we have this interaction on video, and the only thing the video was good for was for helping him beat one of the charges. He is beating this woman on video. She's screaming
There
for
we
help.
go.
She has the bruises. He attacked her. The 911 call is legitimate. This guy was
Yeah,
going
this one might be
absolutely
worth
crazy.
buying.
Again, to the point where the woman in the house who ended up calling 911 was wielding a knife in order to defend herself.
Let's go
And yet,
look at the
we're
other
just
ones real quick.
allowing this to be a thing. We're not questioning the
Because that one
jury.
seems
We're
like
not
it's going to take a
examining it.
very long
Remember
time.
what the left wing says time and time again about how we need to artificially change the composition
that's
of the jury
mining,
for
and
better
then what's
outcomes.
this
I would
one?
be fascinated if this local news report actually
Not
went
sure.
in and told us who was on the jury, what was the makeup of this, who
I think it's
signed off
Hunter.
on this beating and said, I can't even make a decision on some of the charges, but the ones we can make a decision on, totally not guilty. I mean, he's
Yep,
on
Hunter.
video taking the police
Interesting.
officer's gun. You can see it
Yeah,
clear
look
as
how
day.
quick
He
some
didn't
of
have
these
a
are.
gun.
I'm so
Then he had possession of the
confused.
officer's gun, so we didn't
so
even need the video
confused
to know that
at
that
the
happened.
rate that the
But you know
woodcutting
what?
is.
You know what we're gonna say? We're gonna make the case that we can't even
Which one
decide
is this
whether or
going to
not
be?
he's guilty
Is it
of
going to be
taking
the
that
fungus
firearm.
for?
But what about the other charges? Resisting arrest, removing the firearm, and battery on a peace officer. Well, to find someone guilty of those crimes, the law says
Yeah,
the
it's
person
the
being
Hunter
assaulted
action is
had to be
the
lawfully performing
fungal
their duties.
spores.
While it might sound like just a
Actually kind of
technicality to
cheap, to be
some,
honest.
Moline argues the deputy did not have reasonable suspicion.
The jury instruction that the court read to the jury basically says if you want to
Yeah, I'll
detain
probably
somebody,
do
you
the
have to have a
timber
reasonable suspicion that
fungus.
they're involved in
I'll
criminal
probably buy
activity.
that
And in
one.
this case, the issue was the initial detention of Mr. Young legal? If it's not, then he's not guilty. No matter, he could punch her 100 times and it wouldn't matter.
I was called to that house. I see a
What? Why wouldn't it
situation
matter?
where there's a woman in
What?
such fear of her life. She is armed with a knife. I have every right to believe that maybe he has a weapon.
Now, to me, again, this could be down to clever lawyering, but honestly, I think we're in a situation where the jury is being absolutely absurd. She's called to the scenario. It's a domestic scenario. Obviously, there is reasonable suspicion, which is a way lower standard than probable
Is she on
cause
duty?
to
She
detain
got her
and
badge
search
and
this
everything? Like,
individual. And again,
jeez.
the violent assault on her as she's responding to a call should clearly and obviously be assault on a peace officer. On top of that, even if you're not going to go with the enhancement of assault on a police officer or a peace officer, you should probably, and call me crazy, charge him with assault. This idea, well, oh, he could punch her 100 times, but if you can argue whether or not he should have been detained, even though, let's be clear about this, he definitely should have been detained, probably arrested for sure, probably should have been in a mental ward, obviously a dangerous individual. That's why 911 was called.
Ari Young was found guilty of negligent discharge of a firearm, and because he'd already been behind bars long enough to serve that sentence, was set free.
This idea that you can't detain somebody briefly as you search them on a domestic violence call is insane, or the idea that if you are being detained, the potential reasonable response is to beat the ever-loving crap out of a female officer. Also, just garbage logic. Now, he was in fact convicted, I think I said the opposite earlier, of a negligent discharge for a firearm. However, the sentence for that, because he was in jail awaiting trial, was nothing beyond what he served while in jail awaiting trial.
As for
Really?
McCarthy,
Time served,
she
huh?
medically retired from the department last year.
I can only do what I can do. I'm a human being. I tried to do my job to help this woman, and unfortunately, the suspect's actions dictated the rest, which we all saw.
You know, while I am upset and it is tragic that this is a career-ending incident, and ironically, this female cop was beaten out of the force while trying to help a woman experiencing potential domestic violence, dealing with an unstable, violent individual, I do think it might actually be for the best that she medically retired. San Bernardino's prosecutors obviously let this woman down. They obviously failed her. So get your medical pension.
Well, not only that,
money,
dude, like these people in
enjoy
these
your
like
life,
abusive
and
relationships,
you don't really
like, I
need to be a
understand that,
police
like,
officer in an area that doesn't have your back.
That's true.
As these stories
Yeah,
progress,
for
as
sure.
these
They
kind
should
of
totally
things tend to
respect
happen
her
time and time again, what we're
more than they
seeing
do.
is a
It's
thinning
kinda
out of the
ridiculous.
future recruitment classes of law enforcement. So we have less
that
people
a
applying, so
bat
we
or a
have
bird?
lower quality people
Bird,
being
right?
selected because you have a much smaller pool,
Big old
while at the same
chunky
time,
monkey.
experienced
Damn.
officers who understand where this
The
is going
chunky bird.
are retiring. They are leaving the force. People talk about how, oh, we didn't really defund the police. We pulled back funding for a while, but don't worry, we restored it later. But the thing is, when you did that, when you canceled recruiting classes, when officers retired, restoring the dollar amount back to where it was previously, even increasing it from where it was previously, does not undo the damage. You set the tone with these left-wing policies. You set the tone with cases like this, with arguments like this, which, aside from the attempted murder charge, which I actually think was incredibly
We actually have
clever,
one more
is
video. We'll do one more
nonsensical.
video.
Obviously, this was a
because
lawful
it's not very
detainment.
long.
Obviously, there was reasonable suspicion. Obviously,
One
viciously
more
attacking
video.
a woman and taking her firearm on video should lead to a conviction for that assault and for that taking of the firearm, because again, it's on video. And the best they're able to do, getting an unlawful discharge of this firearm, is really proof
set with
positive of how pathetic our system
I probably
is. I
have
would
to get it
definitely
from like some kind of
100%
reward deal.
go out of
huh?
my way to retry him on those charges to which the jury refused to reach a verdict.
Trapper
I want to see the
Blueprint, I
makeup of
believe.
the jury. I want to know what's going on
Yeah,
in
it's
San
from the Hunter
Bernardino, because
shop.
this kind of thing
I need
definitely
Hunter
should not
marks.
pass. This kind of thing is definitely not sensible. It doesn't work. It's not logical, and it can only lead to worse examples going forward, and more officers realizing
Which is a
that
little ridiculous,
crazy people
but
could beat the crap
whatever.
out of you. They could even potentially kill you, but you know what? They might decide that video evidence ain't good enough in the current political climate, and blah blah blah. Don't worry, we got a stupid jury that will buy into anything, or maybe they're just pro-criminal, maybe they just hate them Karens as they've been propagandized against white women over the years. Who knows? It doesn't matter. We're all good with it. We're supposed to accept it, but I refuse. This is an obvious case. And again, with the exception of the attempted murder charge, which I think was actually argued insanely cleverly, which is ironic because the suspect in this case is in fact insane, there's no basis for not returning convictions on some of these counts, on most of these counts, on
Okay,
nearly
there's things
all
I
of
can
these
do
counts.
things
But
other
you know
than
what?
Big Game Hunter.
Those are just my thoughts. If you
Might
have
be a little bit more
disagreements, let me know
AFK-able.
your wrong opinion down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the insanity in our
Alright, we're
This
skimming
clip
to the
went
next
viral
video.
where this drunk woman
And
is
then I'm
harassing
probably
a
gonna quit streaming
bartender.
here
This
for a
clip
little
is really
bit.
cringe to watch.
I might come back a
Basically,
little
the
bit
guy
later,
is
though.
a bartender and he's just minding his own business, doing his job, when
The
this
dude's a
woman walks up
bartender,
to
huh?
him and asks him to buy her a free drink. Now, the guy is not interested,
Oh,
so
God.
he politely says, no,
Yeah,
you
he's like,
gotta pay
dude,
for
this
it.
is my
And
job,
apparently
bro.
this
Like,
is just illegal, okay? You're not allowed to reject somebody.
Can I get another drink?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just send again. You'll pay for it, though, just gonna... Are you not gonna buy another drink? Come on. I know you've been looking at me all night.
No, not. I'll pay for it myself.
Why are you not buying another drink? She's literally, like, so hot.
Amazing logic right there, you know, right up there with Socrates and Patrick Starr. She's just like, so hot, guys. Doesn't that answer for itself? I don't know why it's so hard to comprehend that not every single person is fawning over your existence. Turns out, you're not actually a queen walking around here to be worshipped by the common folk. You're just a regular person at a bar. Some people, believe it or not, just want to get through their day, you know, finish up
did
their
she say
job,
he
and they're
was
not
hot or
looking
that
to
she
actually
was
pick up
hot?
anybody. And my question is, if you are as hot as you say you are, then surely you can just find somebody else at the bar to pay for your drinks. So there's two scenarios here.
Yeah.
Either one, there's literally nobody else at the bar, which is quite unlikely, or number two,
I mean, she
you
probably
be
thought he
capping.
was-
You know, I
he
didn't
was
even
cute,
like
but-
hear of this phenomenon until somebody
I don't
actually
know.
told me. But there's literally like some people out there who literally like leave their house with no money on a night out. So they literally go
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
bar
yeah.
or the club with no money,
I've
and they
known
just
quite a
expect
few
everybody to
girls
pay for
like
them.
this.
And turns out people actually do.
To be
And I don't know, I
100%
just
honest,
never
okay.
got that concept. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you're just, you know, using people and leeching off people.
It's
I
'cause
don't
you're
know.
not
I just
beautiful,
personally
bro.
would never be comfortable with that.
Well, you
Not
don't
that I
understand.
have the choice. But anyways, the problem
I
here
mean,
comes when you
some
push
of these girls
people
were
after
pretty
they've
hot,
said
but,
no.
like,
So after
yo.
this, the girl and her friend
There-
could not
I knew
handle
quite a few
rejection, so they
girls
just call him gay
that
and boring.
kind of lived that way, dude.
Literally, like, so
They really
hot,
didn't
and
have to
she
pay
was
for
literally
shit,
so
dude.
red. Come on.
I'm working out. You
Don't be
get paid.
boring.
Well, I get
What a ball. Oh, my God, a ball. Oh, my God. Come on, you work in a bar.
Yeah, but
You work in a bar.
can't.
Can you show me a number then?
No, I've got a girlfriend, unfortunately.
All right, cool. You know, a loyal person on the internet, kind of a rarity these days. As for the other two goblins that are pestering him, you do realize these are some horrible pickup
I kind of want to
tactics.
see what
She
these
literally
British girls
said,
look like,
oh,
bro.
my friend here thinks that you're a 10. So, if the guy is a 10, why would he be the one buying you a drink? Correct me if
yeah.
I'm wrong, but if the guy
Wouldn't
is
you
a
buy
10, shouldn't you
him
be
the
the one
drink,
buying him
right?
the drink? Like, what kind of a
Yeah,
pickup line
wait
is
a
that? Oh, you're
minute.
so attractive, so,
Wait
you
a
know, you buy me the drink? I don't really blame them.
Shower
It's
me
clear
with
the
affection,
alcohol
yeah.
has reached the brain. And just so you know, for any of you going to the bar in the future, if you ever reject somebody, you're a bore, okay? You know, you're just boring. You know what
Bro, this
fun
is
people do?
bullshit.
They actually cheat on their
Wait, we
girlfriend.
keep
That's
changing
fun, you
this
know,
up
that
on
kind
me.
of spices up the relationship. You know what's really fun? Spending your money on random strangers.
It's actually,
and
like,
flirting
pretty
with
good XP,
random
dude. What
drunk
the hell?
women. Very high quality matches there.
I
Just
kinda
these
wish I had done this
absolute drunken
to
people who
99.
just harass bartenders. I don't know if this is like
I'm
the
pretty
first
sure it was
time
that
they've
when I
ever
got
been
99.
rejected, but clearly they're
No.
mad because either one, they couldn't get a
I
free
think so.
drink, or two, they couldn't like woo this bartender. But I don't think it's much to do with the drink as it is with the guy, because immediately after they ask him for his number. I mean, there's clearly someone who goes around thinking they're the most important person on the planet, and they just can't fathom in their brain that, oh, somebody actually rejected me, even though they're in a relationship, you know? It's like you're surprised that this is even a possibility, that somebody is in a relationship and could reject
Can
Well,
you show me a number then?
No, I've got a girlfriend, unfortunately, so
I'll have your number then.
can't.
Bye.
I've got a girlfriend, innit? She's not going to be happy with it, man.
No, She's got the boring as well then.
That's right, guys. What a boring girlfriend. Doesn't let you cheat on her? She's
Ooh,
just
what
boring.
cunts,
So
bro.
boring, man. Your relationship must be boring.
I do think we need to
having loyalty.
normalize
That's
the word
boring.
cunt
You know
though.
what
The
fun
British
guys
people
do? They
definitely
keep
have
at least 5 side
they have a lock
chicks.
on that
Minimum
shit.
qualifications for being fun. Polyamorous, hooks up with 15 people a night. Classic. Honestly, you want some fries
It
with
is
that
kind of-
salt? Are you the ocean?
I don't know,
Because you
dude.
one salty
I'm sure she's
bitch.
probably run into
You know
quite a
how I
few
know
guys
she's a
that would
horrible
like
person? Because
grab her
even
number
after he
even though they
said that
had
he's taken,
girlfriends.
she
Okay.
keeps pushing. You're being like those
I'm sure a
creepy
lot
guys
of
who do
dudes
the
have been
same
like,
shit,
yeah, I'll grab
who,
your number and then just
continually
like
pursue the
delete it,
woman
right?
after
So that
she
they move
clearly said
on.
no. I just feel like
I
this
mean,
is
there's a lot of
annoying and
dude.
disrespectful. And chances
There's a
are,
lot of
like,
those
if the
situations.
guy
I'm
is
sure it
willing
happens
to
more with
cheat on
girls,
his
right?
current
Where they just like
girlfriend
get the
to
number
get
from
with
the
you,
dude
then he's
and they
probably
just
gonna
kind of
cheat on
delete
you
it or
in the future
whatever.
as well. Like, I
But
never understand these people who try to like break up a relationship, right? Because they're probably
dude,
gonna
just be
cheat
like,
on
yeah,
you next.
I'll
So
grab
it's
your
a
number real
horrible
quick,
idea in the
right?
first
Or like give
place.
them
I
a
just think that
fake
going
number,
after
dude.
somebody who's taken is just a bad idea. But I don't know. What would I know? I'm
Yeah.
pretty boring.
I think it's bad, but I've known a lot of people who do this, and it's like
You've never
I don't
taken
know,
anyone's drink till you both do
it's kind of shitty.
Are you gay?
Oh, he rejected me? It's not because I'm a slimy,
I've had
drunken
this
piece
happen,
of
dude.
shit. It's probably because
And I
he's
hate
gay
this
and
argument.
boring.
Yo,
No
you're
man
not
can
gonna
ever
fuck
reject
me.
me. That just
It's 'cause
doesn't
you're
happen.
gay,
It's not
huh?
like
It's
there's
like, bro,
15 billion
what?
carbon copy clones
What's
of
wrong
me.
with
Dude,
you,
I hate
dude?
these
Like, yo, I just don't want to
overinflated
fuck
egos.
you,
Like,
okay,
these
right
people
now.
walk
Like,
around thinking they own the
yo,
earth.
like,
And, like, partly it's not really their fault because
I didn't even know that's
I'm
what
sure
we were
before
doing.
this,
You know what I
their
mean? Like,
history
yo,
has been
I've
an
had that
endless
shit
chain
happen,
of,
yo.
like, simp guys who have
Like,
enabled this
you must
behavior.
be
You know,
gay because
people
you
with
don't
just
want to fuck
zero
me. It's like,
self-respect
dude,
who
like,
probably convinced her that
maybe
she
I
is
just don't want to
God's gift
fuck
to this
you.
earth.
Maybe
But
I
I
got
don't think
somebody
it's gonna
else.
be
Like, I
much
don't
of a
know.
problem in
I
the
understand why
future
people
because
get like girls
recently
get
we've been
so
having a
offended
lot
by
of
that shit.
AI girlfriends, AI chatbots, AI generations of like real
I mean, I
people,
get that I'm
and
not
they
like
might be more convincing
super
than the
hot or
real
anything,
ones,
dude.
honestly. I don't know if
But
this
I've
is our
had
like
girls just
first
be
look
like,
at
"Yeah,
reality
you don't
that
want
you
to
can
fuck me?
actually
What are
get
you, gay?"
anybody you
Like,
want. You know, some people
I
are,
just
you know,
can't believe
either
that I'd be
already
like,
taken or just
yeah, I
don't want
just
to be in
don't
a
like, I don't
relationship.
know.
I really want the camera to
Maybe I don't
turn
like
just
your
to see who the
personality.
hell is
Maybe,
this
you know.
stuck up. Also, I just wanted to point out, you know,
Shit
respect
is
for the guy for
crazy.
not actually paying for anyone's drinks. A bit of an opinion here. I feel like some
At least
people
they
are gonna
didn't
get
hit him
mad at
with
me,
the,
but I feel
oh,
like
you
if
probably
you
have a
have
small
any
dick, you know,
semblance of
that's why you don't want to
self-respect,
fuck me.
you
Like,
pay for
yo,
your own things.
dude,
Now, if
girls
you're
can
in
be
a
like
date or a
vicious, dude,
relationship
for
or
like
some
reject.
sort
They
of
don't deal with
arrangement
rejection
going
very
on, I
well.
mean, whatever.
Some
Those
of
are
them.
controversial issues. But
It's
I
the
just
same
don't
thing with
have
dudes.
much
Don't get me
respect for
wrong, but
people who
I
walk
find it
into these places
way more
and use
common
their
in
looks to
girls.
basically just use people to get free things. Just the idea of that has always been repulsive to me because I've been taught that you must earn your own way into this world. And treating people with respect, you know, using people to get free drinks is not very respectful. And despite the fact that they may be happy to do it, it just reflects poorly on you as a person. But whatever, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna get a few mean comments for that.
You're gay.
No.
You've got a boyfriend. It's alright. We're not judging. It's fine. Well, let's go find someone else. Come on.
Okay, is it just me or is that just the most insecure shit I've seen in a while? He's not
Yeah.
gay because he said no to you. My god, get over yourself. This kind of reminded me of that clip that was going viral where this guy was like, if you're in an abusive relationship, just endure it, you know, for the kids.
And goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20. And then a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive.
From
Would
who?
you... From both.
This is so rare.
Anyone
It's so
really.
rare. Go on.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people to do? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
People are just.
I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just. Everybody quits. Everybody gives up. It's too hard. I'm this XYZ. This is why I'm special, so I can fuck up this entire situation based upon me being special.
And I just thought that these people would be like, you know, breaking up is gay, you know? Internet brain dead as usual, nothing really new here. You're not a loser for standing up for yourself.
Yeah,
Don't
dude.
let people convince you
Yeah, for
otherwise.
real.
Now click this video or you're gay and
The
boring.
girls were literally like trying to bully this dude into like giving them their number. That shit was wild, dude. Oh man, we've got some pretty good British freaking clips lately. Like, have y'all seen the one with the nanny, right? The babysitter, homie. She's like extorting the dude for her pay, and like she was like taking pictures of the kid that she was babysitting and like posting it on her social media and shit, dude. Like, yo, bro, you can't be taking pictures of people's kids and like posting it on the internet, okay? Like, bro, you need to chill, dude. Like that's not okay. It's just not okay. Um, all right, y'all. This is where we're gonna end the stream. We've been at it 3.5 hours. 3 hours on YouTube, 3.5 hours on YouTube, 3 hours on freaking Twitch. I'm a little burnt out. It's been 6.5 hours on stream. We've been grinding it out. We've had a lot of fun watching the videos. I appreciate everyone checking it out. Let's see. Let me throw on. Let me enable preview real quick. Let's go ahead and go to this screen. This screen is not working. Oh no. Actually, I can move it up to here. Hold on. No, it's not the right size. Hold on. I'm gonna transfer that and stretch it to screen. There we go. We are ending. You can check me at all these social medias. You could tweet me, hit me up on Twitter, some stuff like that. I recommend that one over any of the other ones. I use it probably the most. I got a link to a Discord as well. Join the Discord. I'm going to be on Discord more than anything. I might be able to switch this up where I can put Discord on here instead of like Instagram or the YouTube deal, since y'all already checking me out on YouTube anyways. Since we're live streaming there right now. Twitch, you can check me out on Twitch. It's under the same name. I have everything set to the same so that you can find me on any of the platforms, anywhere at all, and bug me about whatever the fuck you feel like bugging me about. You can critique me, do whatever. Yeah. Hope you'll come check out the next one. I appreciate everyone that came out on this one. And much love. See you on the next one.